All sports, all the time.
There's heroes and there's legends. Heroes get remembered. Legends never die.
This is the Spoken Podcast.
Hold your ears, folks. It's showtime.
I'm your host, Lance Twidwell.
Man, that kid, he can ball, man. He can ball.
Touchdown, Kansas City!
Patrick freaking Mahomes, baby!
Let's talk some sports, because that's what we're here to do.
You are tuned in to The Spoken.
This is the Spoken Podcast. I'm your host, Lance Twidwell, here inside the Starcade Media Studios with my guy, Trevor Twidwell.
What's good?
And that's it, because it's just us here. To episode 263, full swing, full motion. We're so happy to be with you and for you to be here with us. Whether you're podcasting or YouTubing, we want to thank you so much for taking the time to be with us in this time as we have a bomb-ass show for you guys today. I hope you guys are ready for this. We have our guy, co-host of the Chief Concern podcast, former NFL pro, 11-year pro, former Chiefs tight end, Jason Dunn will be joining us in about an hour's time. We're so stoked to have him on today. He's going to be breaking down all things Chiefs, guys, when it comes to this draft, what he sees the Chiefs doing early in the draft, in the middle of the draft, what he thinks the Chiefs are going to do at multiple. He actually has something that I cannot wait to talk about, guys. He has the Chiefs taking one position multiple times in the first 4 rounds. Can't wait to get to that. I hope you guys are ready for that one. I can't wait to talk to Jason because, like I said, every time he's on the show, we have such great, well-in-depth conversation. He gives us everything. One of my favorite things about Jason is whenever he's on the show, whenever he does any show, whether it's his own, this one, another show as a guest, he always gives you such great in-depth conversation, gives you great thoughts. He never shortchanges you. He never tries to slide through a show. You know, when you have former players or former celebrities that get on a show, you can tell they're just there just to be there. Or like Marshawn Lynch said, I'm just here now so I don't get fined. That is never a problem when it comes to Jason Dunn. This man always wants to have a conversation. One of the best human beings I know. Cannot wait to get to him. And like I said, guys, that's about a little around an hour from now. We got to get to some other stuff, guys, because like I said, we have to get to you. We say at the bottom of every single show, say at the top of every single show. I'm going to say it right here. If you've not already subscribed to our YouTube channel, we would greatly, greatly appreciate it if you went ahead and just did that for us while we're doing this live stream right now. Go ahead and switch over to YouTube if you're on something else right now. Go over to YouTube, hit the Spoken Podcast, hit subscribe, notify, like, share, all that fun stuff. But the biggest thing we do every single show is we have this segment where we bring the community in together and have an interactive conversation. It's called Speak It. It's where we give you guys the floor, whatever it takes, questions, comments, concerns, whatever you guys have for us. We give you that platform to bring it to us, and we bring you back our authentic and most objective thoughts, opinions we can give back to the thoughts, takes, concerns, questions, whatever you guys have for us, we give right back to you. It's just the way we do things around here. It's been an absolute blast since we started doing this a few months back. We're not stopping that anytime soon because we've seen the growth. We've seen so many of you guys become a regular of what we do here on Saturdays, and we hope that continues. We've had some great feedback from you guys as well in the comments. We love the fact that you guys have been getting interactive with us throughout the week, not just during the live stream, but during the week, and we very much appreciate all of you guys so much. And obviously, you guys know we finish off every single show with a series of L's in the world of sports. You guys know what we do around here. It ain't the Spoken Podcast unless some L's are being thrown out there. So trust me when I say you're going to want to stick around for the back end of this show because we have some very seasoned L's for you guys. We have some zesty L's for you guys in the world of sports. And if you have your own L's, we had our guy Shaggy Shane just last week dropped an L for himself. If you guys have an L that you want to throw out there, we'll drop L's, man. We'll drop L's all freaking night. It'll be a whole day event, man. We can just have L shows. It'll be a show of L's if you guys want to do that. It's totally up to you guys. We'll have fun with that no matter what. But Trevor, we got some things to get to, man. We have some things to get to because I dropped a tweet a couple of days ago. First of all, Trevor, how the hell are you doing? I'm giving you a chance to speak.
I'm doing good, man. I mean, I'm ready to go. So let's do this.
That's what I like to hear. We're up and ready. We're considered one of the earlier shows in the Chiefs content community. I know a lot of shows are at nighttime. We like to wake you guys up on a Saturday morning. You know, we were growing up, we had Saturday cartoons. Now as adults, you get the Spoken Podcast on Saturdays. That's how we like to look at it. So while you're eating your cereal, getting the kids ready for whatever event you guys have going on later in the afternoon, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about the thing I talked about on Twitter a couple of days ago. And if you aren't on Twitter, I brought this up, and I had gotten some inside information from somebody, and I don't like to be the guy that pretends to be a reporter, or I break news, or I got all these sources. No, that's not what we try to do around here. But whenever I am given a scoop, whenever I am given a report, I am going to give it to you guys. And so something we found out this week is in regards to the Rashee Rice situation, because we're all sitting here on pins and needles, not really knowing what's going to happen, both from the legal side and from the NFL side of things. I think the NFL side of things is going to take some time. I think that we're going to have to see, as the season gets closer, maybe even potentially during the season when we know the finality of what Rashee Rice is going to suffer from the NFL, what severity those punishments will be. We'll find that out. But I think from a legal side of things, it's going to be a lot quicker, because of the fact that I think that this is all going to come down to plea deals. And things are going to get pled down, and it's going to be basically a glorified slap on the wrist. And the reason I believe that is because of what I was told. So supposedly, what I was told from this person that's well in the know, that knows a person that's representing somebody else on the other side of this situation, the aggravated assault, which everyone's very much paying attention to right now. When we heard about that being a force in all of this being a potential charge against Rashee Rice, the aggravated assault, which could be the big detriment of him maybe even potentially serving a lot of time in jail and prison. That's the part that everyone's focused on, and that was the part that I wanted to talk to this person about the most, and that's why they hammered it to me very quickly, because they didn't want anything to be misconstrued when it came to this report. And according to this person, the charges have been announced are what the Dallas police have submitted, but the Dallas County District Attorney's Office has not accepted those charges. So that's why charges have not been posted on the clerks. It's all been the police who leaked the probable cause affidavit. And here's and then I got a brief look at what the actual misdemeanor charges were. I asked this person, what if the district attorney's office, would they accept these charges, and if they don't, what does that mean for this case for Rashee Rice? The response I got was they're definitely not going to accept all of these charges. They'll usually file 1 to 2 max to make this just a viable case. And then this person said, quote, aggravated assault, fuck out of here. No way they'll take that. Won't change much other than severity. And so I go on to ask this person, it's basically just going to be what we all expect, a glorified slap on the wrist. Probably, definitely words that I was given. So take it for what you want. If you guys don't believe what I'm saying, that's totally cool. That's really cool. Because like I said, I'm not a reporter. I'm not some source guy. I'm not an Ian Rappaport. I'm not a Adam Schefter. I'm just Lance Twidwell, and I'm giving you guys what I know. And what I do know is that it does sound like this is not going to be something that Rashee Rice is going to be facing any real jail time at all. It looks like he's going to plea down, probably do some community service, some serious fines, probably some settlements that he's going to have to do on the civil side of things, which makes sense because he hired Royce West to be his lawyer, a civil lawyer. So that makes a lot of sense. And as our guy Sean Darvishi said last week on the show, he was talking about how, he understands why Royce West would take, or a couple weeks ago, I apologize, our guy Sean Darvishi was on the show a couple weeks ago, when he said that he understood why Rashee took a civil defense as opposed to a criminal defense lawyer, because of the fact that he's more worried about getting back on the field and his football side of things than the actual record of things. So there is a chance that Rashee Rice will have a potential felony on his record. He will have some things on his record. He will probably have his license suspended. He'll probably have some things that are going to be pretty damn inconvenient for him. But considering all factors and understanding what would happen to the normal person in all of this, I think he's going to get away pretty scot-free in all this, guys. So whether you like that or disagree with it or agree with it, whatever the case is, that's what we know right now when it comes to the Rashee Rice side of things. This could all change. We could all find out later on that there's something far worse that are going on that we're not aware of yet. I don't think that's the case. I think we know the majority of what took place in this incident, this reckless, literally reckless situation where Rashee Rice is driving 119 miles an hour before the accident is caused. It's obviously very irresponsible thing for him to do. And now there's nothing that he can do to take that back. Now he has to learn from it. And hopefully he does, guys, because I don't think this is going to be something as easy for him to get through if he does something like this again. So let's hope that the 22, 23-year-old kid does learn from this. And I do want to say one thing when it comes to this whole thing and him being a young man. You know, Trevor and I had our guy Shaggy on here, and we all agree this was a knucklehead decision that he made. But I don't want to be the person that goes on one side or the other where I say, oh, he's a kid, so we all make stupid decisions. I don't quantify this as a mistake based upon being a kid, because I know people that are twice Rashi's age that have made the same careless decision. So I don't think it's an age factor. I think that he just felt he was feeling himself. He probably had a great day, a great night, and feeling himself, and they probably felt invincible in the moment, like Trevor has said in the show too. He probably just felt invincible in the moment. I don't think it really matters what age you are. But I also don't want to be the person that sits here and downplays what learning from your lessons really is when you are this age. I think that when you are this age and you do make this type of mistake, you got to learn from it, because you will be that person that's 46, 47 years old doing the same damn thing. And I hope that for Rashee Rice's sake, that's not the case, because he's a guy that could very well make over $80 to $100 million in his NFL career. Mm-hmm. He's that good. And I think if he plays for the Chiefs for 4 to 6, 7, 8 years, he's going to make a lot of money. And he's going to get a lot of notoriety in the league. So the way I look at it is he's got a golden ticket in his hand. He scrunched it a little bit, but you can always, smooth it out a little bit, iron it out a little bit. And I think that's what's happening. I think life is ironing out that golden ticket he's got that he kind of scrunched a little bit. Still in his hands. Let's just hope for the best in all this, guys.
Well, and it's up to him to make sure that this moment doesn't define him, because I don't believe one moment defines a person. But it can if you become a repeat offender, or if you become a person that never learns from it. So it's up to him to do what's right, take the proper steps to move forward, put this behind him. But nevertheless, this occurrence occurred, and don't let it define you, man. Definitely 100%. Move forward and change your stars.
I 100% agree, man. And this is moving to the football side, because I know that's what you guys want to talk about, and trust me, so do I. I just wanted to get that out of the way so you guys know what we know. I want to keep you guys informed, keep you guys in the loop. I gotta tell you guys, we're a community here, we're a family here, and I want you guys to feel like you're a part of what we know. I don't like to keep things from you guys. If I'm allowed to say things, I'm gonna say it, and I'm gonna tell you guys on the show. So I hope you guys receive that well. But back from the football side of things, guys, we're seeing and hearing that 𝚂𝙺 Toney, a name that I know a lot of you guys love to talk about, has been down in Texas reporting for the quote-unquote Mahomes camp.
Yep.
With a few other receivers. We later saw some of them pictured. I don't know if you have a picture there, Trevor. Pictured here with Patrick's trainer, Bobby Stroop. You see a few of the other guys. You got Sky Moore there. You got obviously Noah Gray. You have the rugby player. My boy Nico Remigio's in there. We got quite a few guys that are down there reporting to camp. It's always a good thing to see a group of guys down there taking this stuff seriously long before training camp starts, even before OTAs, all that stuff. They're already down there. They're already getting in shape, getting things ready, and that's always a good sign. And look, I'm happy to hear that 𝚂𝙺 is putting in the work. I really am happy. I'm not trying to take that away from him at all. To know that this kid is down there trying his best to be at his best in freaking April is awesome. Same with Sky Moore.
Yeah.
Same with all these guys. But were you not just here a year ago with these two guys? Did we not have these same conversations just a year ago with these two guys? We can sit here and praise them for putting in this work right now, but we can also address the fact that these guys last season were unplayable and couldn't be trusted down the stretch. Especially 𝚂𝙺 Toney and his obvious drop issues. You can't blame it on anything or anyone else other than himself. And I don't wish anything negative on the kid, but this is not only a business that demands results. This is a team with a real chance to win 3 straight Super Bowls. I hope everyone understands how special that is. You can't keep putting out players on the field that are complete net negative, and that's what 𝚂𝙺 Toney and Sky Moore have been. And see, I'm not speaking out of my ass here. I know some people might be looking at this and going, Lance, why are you knocking the guy? He's out there, he's working hard right now. Again, all credit to him. I think it's awesome that he shows a good work ethic. He could be out there partying wherever he wants to be right now on the offseason. He'd have that right. But he's sacrificing his time, his offseason, to put in work. But see, what's funny is at the same time, a lot of you guys agree with me on this. Trevor, let's go ahead and show the poll there of the wide receiver poll. So I posted this a couple days ago as well on Twitter. I said, which would you prefer the Chiefs to do? Keep Kadarius Toney, Sky Moore, and Justin Watson. I threw him in there because he's a guy the Chiefs could obviously move off of and not lose any money. Or draft 2 wide receivers and then sign a veteran wide receiver, presumably after the draft. Look at this. Almost 700 votes. And 83% of you said draft 2 wide receivers and sign a veteran wide receiver. In other words, it sounds to me that Chiefs Kingdom as a whole is over the Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore experiments, the era. And I couldn't agree more. I posted this on Twitter a few weeks ago. I said, if Brett Veach runs it back with these guys, and it's Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney, Hollywood Brown, Rashee Rice, and a couple drafted receivers, I still think that room's filled. Because I don't believe that Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore deserve a roster spot. Sure, I respect vehemently our guys, Mike and Steve Williams, all chiefed up. They are big-time Sky Moore defenders in this. They'll say, well, he hasn't been used correctly. He's more of a slot guy, more of a yak yard guy. I would agree with that. I'd agree that in some cases, the Chiefs haven't used him properly. So you can sit here and probably win me over and say, let's get one more year out of Sky Moore. Do I want that? No. But I will defend it in the fact that Sky hasn't been properly utilized. But my thing is, I also don't want to contradict myself and say that I believe that Andy Reid and his coaching staff are the best in football, and they're utilizing a guy in a certain way, and I'm going to sit here and tell them they're utilizing him incorrectly. I can't. It's hard for me to do so. So I have to find that middle ground here, and I have to believe that it's probably more so the player than the coaching staff as to why he's not being accessible, why he's not actually contributing to anything on the offense, which Sky Moore just simply hasn't. He's not translated to the NFL game. And that is why, very much on my wish list, I had Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore on the trading block. Get whatever you can out of them. If it's a late 7th round pick, conditional 6th, whatever, just get out of the business of these guys because they're not making any real money, but they are field. And I don't believe that's ever going to change. I believe we know what these guys are. You know the saying, people will tell you who they are. Believe them. I believe them. I believe this is who they are. Could they maybe get better? Maybe. But how much better to justify having a spot on a team that has a real shot at three-peating? I don't think so. See, this is the VIP treatment you got to get. You got to prove to me that you're a legitimate person on this team that deserves a role on this team now, because this is a prestigious roster, a prestigious franchise. You don't just walk in here and say, well, I got a spot. No, you got to earn that shit. I don't think either one of these guys have done that. And you guys agree with me. You guys are willing to move off of both these guys. We all agree that wide receiver is a definite need for the Chiefs. I still believe in both the draft and in free agency. I fully expect Veach to draft at least one wide receiver and then sign one after the draft. But where I think we disagree for the second straight offseason is how and when the Chiefs need to address that need at wide receiver. See, so many folks this last offseason were screaming for the Chiefs to go wide receiver in round 1, but crucified me when I said they needed to go and add a difference-making veteran like D-Hop because those same fans screaming for a wide receiver in the first round felt like the Chiefs already had enough at wide receiver. Yeah, it didn't make very much sense to me either. This offseason, everyone is screaming the same tune, only this time, the Chiefs have already done what I was thinking was asking them to do last offseason, and that's go and get that difference-making veteran in Hollywood Brown. So in an overview, the Chiefs got their only good wide receiver last season, Rashee Rice, in the 2nd round. They just signed a former first-round pick to a 1-year deal on Hollywood Brown, and folks are clamoring that they still need to go wide receiver with their first pick. I know a lot of you are aware of how deep this class of wide receiver is, which makes this demand make even less sense. Even less sense because to that point, when it comes to said depth of this position in the draft, the Chiefs could afford to take other needs beforehand, like say, I don't know, Trev, left tackle and or defensive line, and then take a wide receiver in the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th round. Folks will say, you need to get Mahomes that Hall of Fame wide receiver. I was hearing this on radio yesterday, and I was not having it because Tyreek Hill is the only Hall of Fame wide receiver Mahomes has had to this point of his career. Yet he's won 2 of his 3 Super Bowl titles without Tyreek Hill in less time. Obviously, it's great having that type of talent to throw to, without question. We all miss Tyreek Hill here. I'm sure Patrick does too. They had to change their entire offense. But Mahomes has proven that wide receiver isn't the ultimate need to keep the winning ways going. He literally just won a Super Bowl with one good wide receiver. One. Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore were healthy scratches, guys. He was still relying on MVS just to make one snag, to just contribute at all. As Mahomes ages, the Chiefs have to make sure they keep him healthy and protected. So again, in a draft like this, where the wide receiver group is 20 plus deep, and trust me, it is 20 plus deep, the offensive tackle group is maybe 10, 12, if that, deep. And offensive tackle is a bigger need at this time. It's common sense to go after the best offensive tackle and then go add to the wide receiver room. Trevor, are you still with me on this, or are you seeing it differently? Because I know as the draft fluctuates and players are jumping up and down boards and speculation's going down and guys are making bad decisions or guys are just rising because of the cool combine thing they did. Like, where are you still standing on this? Because I know we've been in unison on this with offensive tackle.
No, yeah.
Are you still with me on this? Or?
Yeah, I'm not a move up in the first round to draft a wide receiver. I'm not a use the first round pick to draft a wide receiver. I'm a second, third round receiver kind of guy. That's where I'm at. I think that's Veach's sweet spot too. I think he knows how to analyze talent in those, rounds 2 and 3, the best. So and then what we have right now, I mean, yeah, it's a crapshoot which cream can rise to the top as far as the group that we have right now. Whether they're out there training with Patrick Mahomes or not, we know when the lights are bright and the game time is game time. These guys just haven't performed up to the point that we can even trust or look forward to them becoming anything on the field. Remigio is a possible dark horse kind of guy, which we like. We like his grittiness and his Albert Wilson-esque type of vibe to him. He's just a hard worker kind of guy and is a tough, shorter guy. But even then, he is a little undersized. You know what I mean? So Justin Ross, is he ever going to become something? Is he a cut candidate? Is he even going to make this roster? I'm still of the belief also that we're going to make another free agent move. I think OBJ is still a solid fit to this offense. Yes. I'm not letting go of that yet. He's still floating out there. And the longer he floats out there, the longer I think the odds of him coming here on a lesser deal than what he's really wanting, because I don't think the money's there, what he thinks he's going to get. So I think that makes a lot of sense for the Chiefs and both sides. So I still think there's a couple guys out there still floating around in free agency. Michael Gallup, the other couple of free field stretcher type receivers out there that are floating around. I still think a free agent move is going to be made still. So there's that. So that deepens the depth of the wide receiver room and who's going to even make this roster as far as that receiver room. We're not carrying 7 into this year again. You know what I mean? So I think there's still a lot of moves to be made and a lot of things will change the perception of what people think. If we go get an OBJ or one of these other guys in free agency, that might change the minds of some people that I think we're going to go wide receiver heavy in this draft, because I don't think that's the case. But yeah, man, I'm right there with you as far as where I want to go early in the draft, right. Even with the first couple picks. Even if we go receiver with our third pick or whatever, I'm fine with that too. There's so much depth. There's so much wide receiver depth in this draft this year. I think it makes a lot of sense, even with the addition of an OBJ or a Hollywood Brown this year and Rashee Rice. Whatever suspension he does get, whatever time he misses, we will need some guys to fulfill that vacancy. But yeah, I think it makes sense to go second or third round receiver, and we need to get left tackle. That is the biggest glaring need for this team, and going for the most talented of those guys at the top of this draft makes the most sense to me. So I'm right there with you, man. I
want to actually, because I know we got Speak It coming up in a little bit, but I actually want to address a couple of these comments real quick, Trevor. A couple from our guy Max Wesson. He said probably a 4 to 8 game suspension to Rice. Whatever the case, Justin Watson cannot be your temporary wide receiver 2 heading into next season. Then Max continues. He said, I bet you Kadarius Toney, Sky Moore, Justin Ross, and Nico Remigio will all have to fight for the roster spots in the preseason. And then he continues with the wide receiver. He's talking about Justin Watson's wide receiver 3 right now. Toney and Moore would still be on the roster, and we know these two are unplayable. So what I want to say, Max, is this is where I'm going to completely agree with you. is that you can't, you're right, you can't take the risk of Justin Watson being one of your top 2 receivers again, because we saw how that worked out last year. It was very tough on this offense, and in particular, very tough on Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce to have to carry the load. So you're right. But see, this is what we're talking about. This is where another veteran steps into the equation. You go and get a veteran on a low-end deal. You got Hollywood Brown, check. Go get another veteran as your wide receiver 3, check. OBJ, sure-handed receiver, not old. You know, he's skilled beyond belief, one of the most skilled receivers in this league. He just gets injured a lot. But if OBJ comes in here as your wide receiver 3, fills in for Rashee Rice while the time's gone, and your young rookie receiver that you drafted second, third round, all of a sudden you have yourself 3 dynamic pieces, and you have a Justin Watson or Nico Remigio or Mecole Hardman or whatever the case is to backfill those back ends. Because we know, guys, that I would have a hard time believing that Andy Reid's going to carry 7 receivers again. I think last season was a very unique situation. I don't think that's going to happen again. I think at most the Chiefs have 6 receivers on their roster come week 1. Yeah. Probably 5, to be honest with you. There'll probably be 5 receivers on the roster. That's for a discussion another time. The point I'm trying to make is that you see the way how easily they could fix this wide receiver room by just simply adding a veteran piece and then drafting one more. Yep. And this is why I try to tell you guys that the Chiefs aren't in this dire need for a wide receiver at the top of the draft, because one, this draft has guys all from 1 to 95 to 100 selections. The top 100 are guys, legit dudes. Javon Baker out of UCF. Brendan Rice out of USC. These are guys that are talking about day 2, day 3 picks.
Yeah.
These are legit receivers.
Well, and I think this taking multiple receivers in the draft is birthed from the Rashee Rice incident. I think a lot of that is the mystery of what's going to happen, how many games is he going to miss, how costly his absence is going to be.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I think a lot of that's coming from that.
You might be right. It might be now. There might be more of a bandwagon on that. Sure. But dude, let's not pretend that during the combine, when Xavier Worthy ran that fast ass, broke the record, we weren't hearing Chiefs fans go, "Oh, got to draft him at 32."
Yeah,
that was before Rashee Rice.
I love the overhyped numbers stuff with the speedsters. It's
you know what I'm saying?
So,
and what was I saying back then? I'm like, guys, the Chiefs already have 2 legitimate wide receivers. I'm not saying that I don't want them to go wide receiver. I do want them to go wide receiver. I do want them to go and get at least 1. And I have my draft predictions, and it might surprise you guys what I say in my draft predictions. They're not done yet, but where they're headed right now might surprise you about how much I like wide receiver in this draft. My point remains, though, when you have 2 needs above wide receiver, and they do have 2 needs above wide receiver.
And we've already taken care of wide receiver to a sense with bringing in Hollywood Brown.
That's what I'm saying.
That was a significant signing, man.
That's what I'm saying. And especially when you add even more depth. Let's say they do go and add OBJ for 1 year, $7 million. Yeah. Let's say they go Tyler Boyd. Let's say they go get Hunter Renfrow or Michael Gallup.
Michael Gallup would be great.
One of these guys. I like OBJ. Side note, I would like OBJ more because of his sure hands
and his versatility.
Yes. Yeah. Like Michael Gallup has a drop problem. Hunter Renfrow has a drop problem. Like some of these guys have drop
Michael Gallup
problems.
has an injury problem as well.
Yes.
I mean, OBJ has his history too, but sure.
Yeah, and that's the point I'm trying to make, is that the Chiefs need just a little bit more reliability on the back end of things. But on the top end of things, in their wide receiver room, I think they've taken care of it.
Yeah.
If they didn't sign Hollywood Brown, you have a case.
Of course.
You have a case. I'm like, I can't really argue with you guys. Wide receiver, they might have to consider it for the first round.
Of course.
They already took care of it, guys. 26-year-old former first-round pick
deal.
On a proven deal.
We're going to get the best version of him.
That fits this offense fucking seamlessly. Yeah. It is a slam dunk move. So that's what I'm trying to alleviate the anxiety that fans are having about they got to go after a wide receiver. No, they do not. Yeah. Especially, like I said, guys, and we know, it's been proven now, time and time again, especially with this team, the championships are won in the trenches. The fact that the Chiefs' offensive line...
It's not even a question.
The Chiefs' offensive line didn't give up a single sack to that Philadelphia Eagles pass rush. It was a humongous reason why they won that Super Bowl, right? And then them getting the pressure on Jalen Hurts, letting Nick Bolton run through that gap that Chris Jones created, scoop and score.
Yep.
Won the Super Bowl, right? Trenches are what wins the Super Bowl. You sign Chris Jones back. Amazing signing. Best signing of the offseason, bar none. Okay? But Chris Jones is only one man. Yes, you brought back Derek Nottie on a 1-year deal. Yes, you brought back Turk Wharton on a 1-year deal. Yes, you brought back Mike Pennell on a 1-year deal. Yes, you have Farrell on a 1-year deal. These are guys. They're not dudes. It's different. Those are bodies, solid dudes that know the scheme, know the system. Spags is comfortable with them. That doesn't mean you can't significantly upgrade. This is the same point I'm making about wide receiver. When I tell you guys, yeah, you got some names in there, you got some guys, but you could upgrade. That's why I'm 100% on board with upgrading the wide receiver room through the draft. That's what I want to see the Chiefs go after in the first few picks. Go after a defensive lineman. Go get Chris Jenkins out of Michigan. Go and get a badass like a Marukaro, or however you say his name. I butchered it horribly. I apologize. But there are several defensive linemen in this draft that are going to be the first 80 picks the Chiefs can go and snag, man. And there's ways to do it, and I'm not going to give it away yet, guys, but I think there's a chance. I'm going to tell you right now. I'm so bad at keeping secrets, Trevor. I think there's a better chance the Chiefs trade up from 32 or trade back from 32 than staying at 32, because they have 7 picks, which isn't 7 picks is fine. Yeah, but I think Brett's like, okay, if one of our dudes falls in the first round to like 19, 20, 21, 22, we're trading up. Oh, they didn't fall, and we have some other guys on the board. We're trading back.
That's if people want to work with us, though.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
That's that's becoming a thing.
The cool thing for the setup and the draft, you look up the draft order right now. Who has the 19th pick in the draft is the Los Angeles Rams. Why would they not want to work with the Chiefs? You know what I mean? Like, they're in a different conference. Yeah. So if the Chiefs are like, hey, listen, we'll give you our first round pick this year, the 3rd round pick next year, and then we'll swap some picks. And we'll swap some picks. All of a sudden, the St. Louis Rams, the Los Angeles Rams are, all of a sudden there's business to be had, because that also jumps the Dolphins, Chargers, and a few other, obviously the Bills and Bengals and teams like that. You'd be jumping some of these other AFC teams. And I think that's something they would want to do. Or you could start talking to the Bears, start talking to the Cardinals, some of these other teams that have draft picks if guys are falling. Like, let's say by some strange coincidence, Joe Alt falls. Let's say he's fallen to like 12, 13, 14. I highly doubt it. Yeah. I think Tennessee's going to 100% take him. But we've seen it. We've seen guys fall. And let's say Joe Alt falls. Let's say Tuanga from Oregon State falls. Of Shanu, one of these big some of these other Latham. Some of these other big time tackles fall.
I think a lot of tackles are going to go, though, because there's so many young quarterbacks evolving in this league, and these teams are wanting to protect their guys. So I think a lot of tackles and guards are going to go off the board. This is a very unpredictable draft, though, I will say, man. And that's why I'm so excited about it. Wide receiver talent, too. So a lot of people are going to want to take wide receivers.
And I know it sucks to have the 32nd overall pick because you kind of have to wait. Yeah. But it's also for a team that's so already loaded like the Chiefs. It's kind of a blessing.
You can see the trends.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because you're like,
especially heading into the 2nd round, which is our sweet spot, 2nd, 3rd round.
Yeah. Okay. Look. Oh, shit. 3 tackles just went in the last 5 picks. We want to go tackle. Let's trade up for this guy because we believe in him.
You don't have to reach.
Oh, all 5 of the tackles that we had on our board are gone. Let's trade back. Let's move to like 46, and let's acquire 3 more picks. Right. Let's, you know what I mean? And all of a sudden you go from 7 picks to 10 picks, or 7 picks to 9 picks, and then the Chiefs can just start doing what they want to do. Yeah. So I think the Chiefs are in a great position. I'll say this now, Trevor, and I was going to wait to say this for the next week or two.
You really can't keep a secret.
I am horrible at this. You guys just get it out of me, man, by just sitting there listening. I think there's a legitimate chance this is the best draft that Brett Veach has. And I am not saying that lightly.
Well, it's a lot of pressure. We're going for the repeat. That's a lot of pressure in this draft.
Yeah, man's cooked in the last 4 drafts. He's absolutely cooked in the last 4 drafts. So I say that with respect to what he's already done. But because of the talent in this draft, man, I think Brett Veach, he might have himself one of his masterpieces. I mean,
if you consistently hit at least 2 or 3 picks in every draft,
that's what I'm saying,
you look like a genius. That's tough to do in itself.
And I know he's the type of guy that's like, either I'm going to trade up and get rid of my 1st round pick for a guy I know I want, or we're going to acquire as many picks as possible. And I think that's what I don't think they're going to sit at 32. Yeah. I think the reason they sat at 31 last year is because they were hosting the draft, and there was a guy they knew that was falling to them, and it was FAU, a guy that was on their board. 2 things just made sense. Yeah. I think if that draft was in Cleveland or Chicago or New York or some other place like that, I definitely think the Chiefs are trading out of that pick, whether it was up or down. But even with that, we heard stories that they were trying to trade up with the Cowboys, with some other teams, and people weren't taking the call.
Right.
So, but that's where I sit right now when it comes to this wide receiver room, guys. Because like I said, I want them badly to take wide receiver seriously in this draft. If they take multiple wide receivers in this draft, I won't be upset, especially if they trade back and acquire more picks. Take a couple stabs at some guys. Go and get a Luke McCaffrey late in the draft from Rice. Christian McCaffrey's younger brother. Go and get him. 6'2" wide receiver. Like I said, there are wide receivers all across this damn draft board, man, that just make so much sense for this team. You go get a Cornelius Johnson out of Michigan. Like you can find these guys late in the draft. I don't know. Like I said, and if we believe that Brett Veach is the kind of guy that cooks late in the draft, I like to believe that he can find a guy like that late in the draft as well. So that's where I'll leave that because like I said, I'm trying not to give too much away because we still have a couple weeks and we have some really good guests coming up, guys, to break down their draft expertise as well. I hope you guys are ready for it. I'm not giving that away. Don't even ask. I will tell you guys when the time comes. But there's a couple other things real quick, Trevor, that I want to talk about before we get to our guy JD, Mr. Jason Dunn from the Chief Concern podcast. The Chiefs need to take the tight end position seriously in this draft.
Yep. Agreed.
I think it's pretty obvious when I say this. No one's going to disagree with me on this. Everybody knows this is the truth. They will never be able to replace all of what Travis Kelce is. But they can replace some of what Travis Kelce is. And let's be honest. The Chiefs have gotten lucky with Kelce. Not just with becoming the greatest tight end to ever live, but to be able to be the greatest for this long and be this healthy. The Chiefs do not win last year's Super Bowl without Travis Kelce. They just simply did not have the firepower. Period. I mean, hell, they may not have won Super Bowl 54 or Super Bowl 57 without him, too. The fact is, Kelce has been invaluable to this dynasty. He's still elite, but he's going to be 35 years old in about 5 months. It's time for the Chiefs to take a tight end within the first 4 rounds again, something they have done since, 2013 with Travis Kelce. In fact, the Chiefs have only drafted 2 tight ends since 2013. James O'Shaughnessy and Noah Gray. Both, ironically, were 5th-round picks. All signs point to Kelce sticking around for a while longer, and I expect him for more of the same from him. Well, we're all expecting that. At least when it comes to being big in big games, postseason games, showing up, being the great player, probably going to be the greatest postseason receiving option in the history of football over Jerry Rice. Imagine that.
It's insane.
But the day is coming, guys, and the day is coming quickly when 87 is no longer elite and is no longer there at all. And if you're asking me, I think it's a lot wiser to prepare for that day now than dread the day when it comes later. The Chiefs have 4 selections within the first 4 rounds as it stands. That might change. They might actually get more. I'd like to see one of them be a player that could potentially replace some of what Travis Kelce is. Trevor, do you agree with me on this? Because you heard me banging this drum last year. I wanted to see them take a tight end in the 3rd round. I had some names in there. I was like, guys, if you can get a tight end 2nd or 3rd round, go after them. I wanted these guys. They didn't take a single tight end. I know a lot of it has to do, obviously having the greatest ever, but I think it's time, man. I really do think it's time where it's like, let's go take a stab at a guy in our first, 3-4 picks. I think it's time that we figure out a way to add to this offense now, be a contributor now, because we know how the tight end position is utilized in today's NFL more so than ever.
Yeah.
Let's get a guy that can help us now, but also be a dude that in 2-3 years could be 65-70% of what Travis Kelce is. If you get 65-70% out of a draftee of what Kelce is, you nailed that pick. So do you see it that way, or do you think they need to just, start filling in more trenches, wide receiver, things like that?
I mean, I know even last year you were pushing for them to draft a tight end too. I was kind of not at the time on board with that. I felt Travis Kelce was still playing at an elite level, which he established that again in the postseason this past season. And I still believe he will be an elite option this season. Might coast a little bit more this coming season than normal because we have more options in the passing game now this season. But I mean, yeah, I'm on board this draft because I was kind of holding out hope for Noah Gray to become something. I still believed because I think he's a great athlete. Was in college for sure, but I just don't think he has the. And then plus with his diagnosis of diabetes and stuff, that could shorten his career pretty quickly and rapidly. So that's another thing to throw into the mix with him and what he could be in this offense. I still like him as a player. But I think the way tight ends are getting pumped out now and coming into these drafts NFL ready more than ever. I mean, these guys are becoming more skilled every single season. These guys, they're starting to utilize these guys more in the passing game as receivers in the collegiate game, and they're coming in more ready for that now. That it used to be the way just 10 years ago. These guys, it was you're receiving tight end, you're kind of one in a million kind of guy, which is why Travis Kelce, done what he's done in his career, and it's just been, kind of blazing his own trail. But these guys are coming in. We just seen it with Laporta and a lot of these young guys coming in just last year looking amazing. I mean, Laporta was the best tight end in football last season, statistically.
Yeah.
Rookie. You know what I mean? So in an offense that was tight end friendly, of course, but I think offenses are becoming more tight end friendly, and obviously the Chiefs lead the way with that. So I think going tight end in this year's draft for sure makes a lot of sense. I think the 4th round makes a lot of sense. 3rd or 4th round. I think I'm with you on that. I think that makes a lot of sense to go, a tackle early, maybe a receiver 2nd round, 3rd, 4th round, find that tight end or find a linebacker or another DB. Those are kind of sweet spots for our DBs there. So I wouldn't be surprised if we go DB, but I think this is the year to do that. I think Travis Kelce is on his way out. As much as we love him, as much as I'm a tight end guy, that's my guy forever, but it ain't going to last forever.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think getting a guy for Travis Kelce to take under his wing, a true phenom for him, being drafted as that replacement, because I don't think Noah Gray was drafted as a replacement. I think he was more of a complement piece, which he has been at times. But he's not a guy that I can trust that could take that next step. I think he is who he is. And replacing Travis Kelce is an impossibility because I think he's one of one. But like you said, maybe replacing some of that production, because the connection that Travis Kelce and Mahomes have is just a unique thing, especially in the tight end position and the quarterback position. But yeah, I think there's a lot of talent at the tight end position in this draft. And I think some guys will definitely fall because there's a lot of attention on receivers, obviously quarterbacks and tackles. So I think there will be some slippage for the tight end position. So I think this year makes a lot of sense to do so.
A couple of chat. You guys are killing it on the chat, so keep them coming, man. We really appreciate it. Fire off as many takes as you guys have, questions you guys have. We'll definitely be collecting most of the questions for Speak It, but some of these takes, I really do appreciate what you guys are saying. Going back to our guy Max, he said the best case scenario for trading out of number 32, you get 2 early seconds. Yeah, that's what it's looking like. Because the 32nd overall pick is basically just a glorified early 2nd round pick. If there's a team like, the Washington Commanders who have the 36th overall pick, and there's a guy they have to have, they want to move up 4 spots, or the Panthers, I think they have like the 33rd overall pick. They want to move up just 1 spot. They can give you 2 to 3 picks. It could be 1 early 2nd and then a 5th and then a 7th round pick next year. Whatever the case is, you can start accumulating picks just by moving back just a few spots. And let's say there's a tackle that the Chiefs are really hell bent on, but all these tackles, all the tackles that were 1st round picks, 1st round projected picks are gone. The Chiefs don't have anybody to trade up for. They can say, well, it looks like none of these other teams are going to take this tackle that we really like. We can trade back 5 to 10 spots and still get our guy and add 2 to 3 more picks to our draft. That's a move right there, and then you get 2 more picks. Then you can start taking some of these other risks. Like I said, taking a tight end, taking an interior offensive lineman, going and getting an extra edge rusher, going and getting some of these pieces you thought, well, the Chiefs didn't really need that. But if there's a guy at the top of their board at that position, then all of a sudden you do it. Like look at just 2 years ago, the Chiefs had multiple 1st round picks. I was saying in my mock draft, remember when I said, Trevor, I want them to trade both those 1st round picks to move up to number 5 to get top 10 to get Kayvon Thibodeau.
Yeah,
I wanted him badly.
Oh, me and you both.
And I said trade both those picks. What the Chiefs did instead was they stayed put because why? There was a player they didn't expect to fall that fell.
Value.
And it was Trent McDuffie.
Value.
They saw him fall into the 20s when they had him going in the top 16. He wasn't even on their board.
Yeah.
But then they're like, wait, Trent McDuffie's falling?
Isn't it beautiful when your needs match the value of the draft?
Right.
That's the ideal situation. Right. Usually you have to draft for one or the other, but when your needs and the value meet up, that's...
And George Karlaftis, another guy they didn't expect to fall, fell to 30, who was also on the top of their board, and they took him as well. So they had... That draft class was magnificent because it fell perfectly in the Chiefs' favor. This can happen again. where they have this like you said, Trevor, where they're seeing the trends. If the top 5 tackles go within the first 15 picks, the Chiefs aren't trading up for anybody.
You have to pivot, yeah.
They're not trading up for anybody. And then I don't think they're going to stay at 32 either. They're going to be like, okay, we now see what the market is for tackle. The top 5, 6 guys are gone. We still have, Kingsley 𝚂𝙿𝙸𝚂𝙾𝙳𝙴 still on our board. We still have the kid from Houston. I forget his name right now. I feel like there's Arizona's guy, Jordan Morgan. He's still on the board. We can trade back 6, 7, 8 spots, collect some picks, and still get one of these dudes. Still go and get one of these guys with these long arms. And just for the record, so everybody understands, when it comes to tackle, Andy Reid only wants to get guys that have 34-inch arms and longer. He doesn't like guys with shorter arms. So if you see a tackle out there, guys, that has starter potential according to the draft profile and has 34-inch arms, go after him. Like, put that on your board of guys that Andy Reid can potentially go after. And furthermore, guys, let's be real. Andy Reid's historically been a guy who drafts the shit out of offensive line and defensive line. He understands
yep.
that it's the trenches. The Chiefs have been so good at protecting Patrick Mahomes, especially on the interior side of things, and has been so good at getting to the quarterback over the last 2 years. Is it any coincidence to you they just won the last 2 Super Bowls?
Sample size. Just look at all the teams that consistently are in the playoffs or make solid playoff runs. They all have great offensive line play, and they typically have really good left tackle play.
Right.
And obviously elite quarterback play a lot of times that they don't have a great offensive line.
And then you have our guy, Dustin Orton. By the way, I believe it's Dustin's birthday, our birthday week.
Happy birthday,
So
Dustin.
shout out to Dustin. Happy birthday week. Excited for the show. Thinks Veach makes another splash of free agency signing. I do. Again, happy birthday to you, Dustin. We appreciate you being in the chat, brother. Thank you for being excited for the show. Thank you for being a part of this. Make another splash of free agency. Yeah, it really depends on what you would consider a splash. I think OBJ would be a splash. I just based on name recognition, ability, I think that would be a splash. I think that's probably the only really big splash left. I think if they sign a Tyler Boyd, that's not really a splash. They sign a Michael Gallup or a Hunter Renfrow or somebody like that, because those guys don't really have that like star ability. OBJ still has star ability. He can make star plays. And I think that's why he's very much on Trevor and I's radar. And a lot of Chiefs guys, our guy Daniel Harms over at RGR said the same thing, that he very much wants Odell Beckham because he thinks that the Chiefs can and will afford him, because I don't think he's going to get, like Trevor said a minute ago, I just don't think the market's there for OBJ to get another one of those 1 year, $15-16 million deals. I just don't think it's out there. I think that you're looking at, he's wherever he goes, he's getting a 1 year deal. Anywhere from $5 to $8-9 million, and
Sure.
I think the Chiefs are very much in that market.
To be very incentivized. Too.
Yes, and that would be a splash. Our guy Dustin also said later on, while I agree when we're talking about the tight end position.
Yep.
While I agree, we have to remember they also felt they would never replace Tony G either. Great point. But see, here's the thing. It would have been one thing if they would have drafted Travis Kelce while Tony G was still in the building. Because then you're like, okay, we're looking for a contingency plan. The Chiefs weren't really looking for a contingency plan after Tony Gonzalez. They were drafting guys like Sean McGrath, or I don't know if they signed. Maybe they signed him as a free agent. I don't remember. They had some guys here and there. Tony Moiaki. People thought because he made that great catch against the Niners in the back of the end zone, he was the next guy.
Yeah.
So obviously, yes, the Chiefs have lucked out. It's kind of like the Packers with quarterbacks. Like, they just continually find a quarterback that can play for the next 10 to 15 years. The Chiefs have been really good at drafting tight ends.
True, but at the same time, that was an entirely different coaching regime. That was an entirely different era of Chiefs football. So, I mean, and I get the same idea that we might not be able to replace Tony G and Travis Kelce, but at the same time, I mean, I think we got to be real. I mean, we've kind of lucked out a little bit drafting those two totally different coaching regimes, two totally different ownerships or not ownerships, but GMs and things like that, visions. I think the Chiefs kingdom have just kind of lucked out of drafting two absolute elite stud tight ends.
And let's be honest,
it just happened to happen that way.
Andy Reid took a risk by drafting Travis Kelce, not because it was some early pick. He was a third-round pick.
Yeah.
But it was because of the fact that Travis Kelce had some off-field issues. But he had an older brother that Andy Reid also drafted a few years before that in Philadelphia. And he was like, I'm going to trust your brother. If he thinks that you're capable of becoming something in this league, I will draft you. And the talent exceeded. It did what it did, and now he's the greatest tight end who ever lived. And I think that's not necessarily what we're looking for, though. I'm not sitting here saying, all right, draft a tight end and hope he becomes the next Travis Kelce. I'm saying, hey, how about you draft him and he can just become the next reliable tight end?
Yeah.
He just become a guy that you can go and throw the football to and catch passes, help block here and there, and then you have yourself a guy that will take some pressure off Travis Kelce. He can take a couple blows on the side of the, because what we're looking at now, Trevor, when it comes to Travis Kelce, is keep him healthy for the playoffs. Now that his 1,000-yard streak is
5 to
over,
6 catches a game at least.
yeah. Now that his 7-season streak of 1,000 yards or more is over, that's no longer a thing.
There's no pressure on him.
So yeah, if Travis Kelce doesn't get another 1,000-yard season, who cares?
Right.
Like if he goes,
Who cares?
yeah, who gives a shit? Like if he goes and has like 840 yards this year, I don't care.
Yeah.
Because as long as Travis Kelce is healthy and ready for the first game of the postseason, that's all that matters. Because we know that's where he shines. So we just need guys now to backfill and help just kind of fill the role, kind of support them, and help carry the load to the postseason. Because we know this team gets bored in the regular season. So go get some young, hungry guys. Almost said young, hungry guys that are motivated, that want to make their name in the regular season
And learn from the greatest.
You don't think that for a second, like a guy like an Isaiah Pacheco didn't help just jolt this team? Look at Willie Gay. Asking for swag surf. You need guys like that, young, inspired figures that rally around your veterans, that are kind of used to the glitz and the glam of it all, the suspense of what could be. They're used to it now. Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce have been down this road several times over. So go get a young tight end that wants to make his name known, become a fan favorite. And we know in Kansas City, if you can catch the damn ball, you're automatically going to become a fan favorite, because we know what you become when you don't catch the ball. So come in here, make a name, give this kid an opportunity. And I 100% agree with our guy Max here when he said, excuse me here, Max said Cade Stover in the 3rd round would be interesting. Let me just tell you this real quick, Max. That is a guy I'm paying very much attention to. Him and Stenot from Kansas State are two dudes that I am very much hoping the Chiefs, if they're sitting there in the 3rd or 4th round, heavily consider. I am not playing. Those two dudes could be day one contributors. Yeah. Cade Stover, go. You know what? Just go and ask our guys from All Chiefed Up. Go ask Mike what he thinks of Cade Stover. In fact, I can go find the clip of when we talked about him on this show with Mike. Cade Stover is that dude. He has everything to his game you want out of a tight end. And I think that he'd be a perfect fit in this offense. But like I said, Stenot, huge monster figure in this offense, can run block really well, catch the ball, hard to tackle. He's like Mike Allstott on steroids. Like, he's humongous. Can play the H-back, fullback role, which the Chiefs don't carry anymore, so you can just have him play back there. He's basically just a much better version of what Blake Bell was supposed to be in this offense. Those two guys right there would fit this offense, fit this scheme so well. And like I said, I know it sounds crazy for us to consider tight end guys, but again, Travis Kelce is not immortal. Yeah. He's eventually going to age out. I'll be real with you. I know that with Taylor Swift now in his life, he's got a lot more fame. That is something that naturally draws you towards, wanting to do other things. I haven't seen the lack of hunger from Travis Kelce, though, to keep playing football. So I do think that we are getting at least 2, probably 3 more seasons of Travis Kelce.
I mean, if he's anything like me, if they're anything like us as far as the brother thing goes, one brother leaves. I mean, it's that much more of an emphasis on you to carry that family name.
Yeah.
And I think that much more focus. I know they're true football guys, true blue football guys. So I think this is an emphasis year for Travis Kelce. This next year in particular, to carry on that Kelce name and that recognition. I know it's going to be a weird thing not having his brother. I think they made that pretty clear when in his retirement speech and all that, and after that on the show and all that. It's going to be weird for him not having his bigger brother that he kind of followed in the footsteps of. But I think this is a year for him to really put an emphasis on his personal name, and not just being a Kelce brother, but really, really establishing, that name further, just being him out there now as the only Kelce brother playing football actively.
To that point, I sit there and said, Travis Kelce might have like 860 yards this season. Who cares?
I think he's going to be focused as hell.
Or what if he has 1,200 yards?
Yeah.
And 9-10 touchdowns?
Well, let's be real, man. How many times have we seen Travis Kelce all over the internet with like training videos and him doing workouts and stuff?
Already.
We don't see a lot of that.
Already.
He's doing individual like social media posts of him running stairs and running hills and stuff. It's like that's my dude.
Yeah.
I follow most of the things he does, and like that's not something that we've really seen over the years outside of him practicing like at like OTAs and things like that. But individual drills and stuff of him running hills and stuff is pretty cool to see.
Well, when you, I don't want to speak for Travis because I think I know what motivates him, but like any other athlete that is on the precipice of being the greatest ever at anything, I feel like that's what drives these guys because they know, like, it might sound selfish, but I'd like to think that guys like Michael Jordan and LeBron James and Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady, they all knew how lucky and how much of a special opportunity they have as individuals.
Seizing that moment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I love the Brady quote when he said, "My favorite Super Bowl is the next one." Like he's driven by winning.
Yep.
And I think that's where Travis Kelce is. I'm sure the stats feel good. I'm sure he loves the fact that he's going to probably inevitably pass Jerry Rice in every playoff stat. That is incredible.
Yeah.
But I also think that Travis Kelce knows that I can win 5-6 Super Bowls in my career.
They're more inspired by the fear of losing rather than the bliss of winning, for sure.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think Travis Kelce, like Patrick Mahomes, they're on the damn Super Bowl stand.
I want 3. I want 3.
And they're already talking about next year's Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Like, that's how hungry this damn team is.
Yeah.
And they don't make
That's what
moves
you
like
see, man.
Yeah, they don't make moves like bringing back Chris Jones on an unprecedented contract unless that was their absolute goal.
Yeah.
So when you're seeing Travis Kelce training in April, when you're seeing Patrick Mahomes training in April with these young cats, it's because their goal is what we just saw these last 2 years. And this is why I hammer these points on, because people think that I'm trying to be negative, Trevor, when I say these things. No, I am pumped up and passionate because I want to see this be as easy as possible because these last 2 years have been anything but easy on this team.
Yeah.
I want to see
fans, shit.
I want to see 1 year where it's like, man, you know what? The Chiefs just kind of glided to that championship.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I want to see Chris Jones and Travis Kelce have long, stretched out careers. You have so much emphasis on them and just them for a whole season, and then the postseason, their careers are going to be cut short. Like, I think people forget that how banged up Travis Kelce was this last season.
Yeah.
And for him to overcome it and play the way he,
From the
and for him to come in and do what he did, Chris Jones, missing all of training camp, missing the first week of the season, and having a season like he did, where he led the team in sacks, and we had an unbelievable playoff run. Like, these guys are special. What you have is special. So hold on to it. And this is why I said it's so important to add as much depth around them now to not replace them, maybe, potentially replace them, but just add to them so it takes off a little bit of pressure to these dudes so they can continue to be special as the season continues to go down. Because this is a long-ass season, dude. Football season is long. I know there's only, X amount of games, but it's a long, grueling season. It starts, their OTAs start in May, or April, May, and their season does not end. Most Chiefs season doesn't end until February. It's almost a full year, man. They have a lot on their plate, dude, and I just want to see. And like I said, I'm confident that Brett Veach is going to add a lot to this team. Whether they trade back, trade up, whatever they're going to do, I think he's going to hit it again on the head with whatever picks he makes. Man, I'm trusting him in this. And again, for the record, he goes wide receiver in the first round. I may not agree with it.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that Brett Veach potentially just didn't get a badass wide receiver.
I mean, how could you not trust his decisions at this point, man? Like, you got to. I mean, the first round has not been his specialty at all times. In every draft, but at the same time, like I'm the guy that just sits back and lets Veach go to work and do his magic.
Well, shit, he's only had what?
How many first round?
4 first round picks?
Yeah. So
because he had 2 in 2020 or 2021. Clyde Edwards-Helaire in 2020,
which was my least favorite pick. Yeah.
2022. No, 2022. No, 2021. They didn't have a first round.
Breland
pick.
Speaks was by far the worst.
2021. They didn't have a first round pick because they gave it for Orlando Brown.
Yeah.
2022, they had Trent McDuffie and George Karlaftis, and then 2023 FAU. FAU is still out. We still don't know what he's going to be as a player.
This season is to prove it.
And I'm very excited to find out what that's all about. We're waiting for our guy, Jason Dunn. He'll be here any second. Wanted to get to a couple more of these thoughts here real quick, Trevor, while we got our guy Shaggy Shane said this Monday, the Chiefs report to OTAs. We were just talking about that. Rashee Rice might not be there while the NFL continues their investigation, and that can drag out all spring, summer. Don't expect to see Rashee at camp in July. Well, I'm not so sure that we're not going to see him in July. If I'm a betting man right now, I think we see him in July. I think we see Rashee Rice at camp. Because of the fact that I don't think he's going to get suspended until during the season. That's usually how these things go.
The sooner the better, to be honest. But yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think I'm saying like week 2, week 3, we hear about a suspension.
Sure.
I think I don't want to speculate on how many games it'll be, But I don't think that we're going to hear about it until the season's already kind of come about. But I do expect to see Rashi in training camp because I don't think there's going to be anything that's holding him back from that.
Sure.
The investigation is still going right now, but I don't think where it's like, oh, he can't play football until this investigation's over.
Yeah.
Because nobody died. You know what I mean? No,
yeah.
It wasn't something that severe.
It is.
As
much as we feel it's married, which it is married to his career.
Yeah.
But this is a personal matter. This has nothing to do with him attending his job or not.
Right.
He's going to be there most likely unless I don't think any suspension can keep you from going to OTAs either. You're suspended for games. I don't think suspensions can really keep you from going to OTAs.
Yeah, I think you're right about that.
I don't think that's ever really occurred.
Well, yeah, because Charles Omenihu was still at camp.
Sure.
And I believe he got suspended at camp.
Yeah.
Wasn't it during training or yeah.
Outside of him having to attend like some court dates or something, maybe if it happens really early and this acts fast and he has to be at a court date or something like that to keep him from practice, he's still going to be
Omenihu was still playing in training camp or preseason games.
Sure.
And we knew he was suspended.
It's only going to affect him during game time.
Right.
The suspension is only going to affect his appearances at games. So he will I think if he wasn't going through, if this wasn't like fully in the mix and he just didn't recently turn himself in, he'd be at practice with all the boys down at Pat camp. So which obviously he was earlier on with Hollywood Brown. They were getting those, but yeah, I think there's just a lot of things we got to figure out, and trying to predict the future isn't easy. And I fully believe he'll be at OTAs though for sure.
Did you see that? I tweeted it out yesterday, Trevor, that Brett Veach, he's made 41 draft picks in his career as a Chiefs GM. 27 of them are defensive players. I mean, that's a large
defense
percentage.
still wins championships, man.
Well, and I think also Brett Veach's goal was to build as much young defense around Chris Jones. This is why I said keeping Chris Jones was such a big thing.
Yeah.
Still
proves to be true.
I don't want us to give our predictions yet, Trevor. I'm so ready for the draft show.
Hey.
But let's say the Chiefs stay at 7 picks. What would you say right now if you're a betting man? They take how many offensive players and defensive players?
Well, if we think we're going to add a tight end this year, that adds another element to the offensive players. I do think we go receiver, offensive tackle. I think we probably take another offensive guard, possibly if we don't pay Trey Smith, which is still a thing that could happen after this season. So I think we do go guard at some point as well in this draft. So I think that's 4 right there: receiver, tight end, tackle, guard. So 4 of our 7 picks.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be more offensive picks. I think we kind of have to at this point because there's more. I know we got linebackers to think about down the road too with Nick Bolton possibly. Who knows what we're going to do with that? I know we just extended Tranquil, so we have him locked up for another couple years. But I feel like we always take a DB at some point. There's going to be a DB taken, the 6th round, probably 6th round. So I think we do go more offensive players this draft. I think this is a kind of an anomalous situation where we do feel obligated to take a tight end, a guard, and a tackle, and obviously a receiver at some point early on in the draft. So, and I think there's a possibility we still take another running back, because I always think there's always a running back that we take. It could be an unsigned free agent signing. We typically do those too. So I think there's gonna be a lot of running backs that don't even get drafted that we could bring into camp and let them compete.
Yeah.
We did bring Clyde back, so that maybe keeps us from drafting a guy because we know we can trust Clyde in a lot of certain situations. He played well last season in spurts. So I think this is a situation where more than half of our picks could be on the offensive side of the ball this year. I think that's definitely a possibility. But I do think we need to go linebacker. I think we need to go defensive line, obviously. I would go defensive line early. That's my personal opinion. I always like to do that. But I think DB, DB, linebacker, and defensive lineman have got to be picks this year. But I also think tight end, receiver, offensive guard, and offensive tackle are musts as well.
Right.
For depth, not only depth, but possible future starting guys, for this team, depending on how contracts work out at this end of this season. We got a lot of things in flux. So I think it's always going to be a balance. We tend to have a balance, but we do tend to go heavier on the defensive side. But I think we have a lot of great youth, and with Brian Cook coming back, that can stall maybe some of the DB picks early on in the draft. We can take some flyers late in the rounds. But I think 4 or 5 picks could definitely be on the offensive side in this draft, man, which is exciting, honestly.
I think, I'm actually very much in agreement with most of what you just said, because I think if the Chiefs do, because they're going to take at least like one defensive player. It's not going to be all offense.
It'll be defensive lineman most likely.
But yeah, I do think though, if and when they do take their first defensive player, it better be earlier in the draft.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Early, like a first 3 pick defensive lineman is ideal.
I saw, and I don't want to call our guy Nick right out, but I have to. I saw his recent mock draft. He had the Chiefs taking Kool-Aid out of Alabama, the cornerback. I don't know what that is. Look, I'm going to be real with you guys, and we're going to have our guy JD on any second. Jason Dunn's going to be on any second. But while we still have you guys here waiting on Jason, I'm going to be real with you guys. I know losing 𝚂𝙫 Sneed is a big thing, especially from a fan perspective, because he was such a fan favorite. He had such a great season.
Yeah.
I don't think you guys are going to miss 𝚂𝙫 Sneed this season, because I think this team is already deep at defensive back as a whole, which is also why I think cornerback is one of the least needs on this team. I know that sounds nuts.
Yeah.
Because they just lost an awesome dude.
Yeah.
But if you go look up on Pro Football Reference right now, look at Chiefs draft history, look at the last 3 drafts, look at how many defensive backs Brett Veach has drafted all up and down the board.
Yeah.
He has invested heavily in this, and this is why I told you guys that the Chiefs were never going to pay 𝚂𝙫 Sneed. I was like, look at how much he's invested in the draft at that position. He has been planning on losing 𝚂𝙫 Sneed for 2 years now. And that is why you're seeing here, look at Nick Jones, look at Najee Johnson, look at Shamari Connor. Look at these young bucks, man, that are Nick Jones and Najee got hurt last season, so they didn't get a chance to play. And Shamari Connor showed you he's a dog when he played. Mm-hmm. So that's 3 guys right there that didn't really play huge roles last season or at all, that all of a sudden are a part of the equation now. Not to mention, Jalen Watson and Joshua Williams are going into year 3 as 2-time Super Bowl champions.
Yeah, experience, man.
My God. And Trent McDuffie, who's one of the, I think right now, one of the 7-8 best corners in the league.
Him and Sauce are top of the list for me.
Dude,
so yeah,
he's a lockdown corner now. And I just, if you look at where this room is, I wouldn't be shocked, Trevor, if Brett Veach doesn't draft a single corner.
Yeah. Well, I think the Chiefs can also use that as leverage too, because I think a lot of teams are still going to think they're going to try to reach and replace 𝚂𝙫 Sneed,
right? Because
of that vacancy now. But I don't think a lot of teams understand the depth that we do have, and I think that a lot of teams could possibly, like the teams around us that are AFC opponents, could be reaching for DBs, and that could open up and some other guys to fall to us that we actually really want a position player. So I think there's a way we can kind of play a little chess with this draft and kind of insinuate that we want to take another DB early to replace, or at least in the first 4 picks to replace 𝚂𝙫 Sneed. But I think I'm with you. I don't think there's gonna be a DB taken until like round 6 or 7.
And I'll say this: if they do take a DB at all in this draft, I think it will be a safety. Biggest reason why is because Justin Reid is on a 1-year deal. I think they're going to let him play his deal out. I never entertained the thought they were going to cut him. Yeah, Justin Reid is 28 years old.
He played well down the stretch, too, man. He was really good in the postseason.
This is what Brett Veach does with his safeties. He signs a free agent and lets him play out his contract. Justin Reid is 28 years old this season. Prime of his career, peak of his powers. I think they get that one last year out of him. They don't extend him.
Yeah.
I think that they let Justin Reid walk. Thank you for helping the Chiefs win X amount of championships.
Yeah, he's made some good money here.
Yeah, he's made himself a career here in Kansas City. He's put himself in an upper echelon. And so I think that's, if you do see the Chiefs take a defensive back, it will be a safety. A guy that they could look at as a potential replacement to Justin Reid, or a depth piece behind Brian Cook, Shamari Connor, Najee, Nick, whoever they got back there that's running the show in year 3 of those guys' careers. Regardless, we do know that it's a rotating door at cornerback in this room. I know people try to look at it as a negative because of the fact that the Chiefs don't pay corners. I think Trent McDuffie might be that one exception, but we know this is a room they like to keep things cheap.
Yeah.
And that's where they want to keep things. Man, there's so much to talk about when it comes to the draft, and we're not experts here. That's why we bring the experts on. And this is the first week of bringing on experts. And this is one of my favorite guys, one of my favorite human beings. I was talking him up before the show. I'll continue to talk him up because, like I said, this dude has the experience factor of being a former NFL player, played here in Kansas City, and he's not one of those dudes that tries to, get in and out of a conversation. This man gives you well in-depth, well-thought-out, processed takes. That's why I appreciate this man so much. Let's give it up for this man because he's about to give you guys some quality content. Let's give it up for the one, the only, Jason Dunn!
Oh, my goodness.
What's up, JD?
What's going on, man?
Hey, what's up, brothers? What's up with y'all, man? Y'all doing all right?
Yeah, we're doing great, man. We've been waiting for you. We've been so stoked to talk to you today. We've been warming the people up.
Yeah.
Get this thing ready because we got, dude, the draft's coming up, man. We're really excited about talking about the draft. I mean, how the hell are you doing, man?
I'm doing well. Man. I'm kind of I went to my grandson's game today. It was a beautiful day. Started out cold, man. It was like 40-some degrees here in Kentucky. 9 o'clock in the morning, you playing baseball. I'm just like, man, who plays baseball at 9 o'clock in the morning? I get to the park, packed. I mean, it's like we had to pull over in the grass somewhere to go get a park. I'm like, man, these are all the early risers. I'm not an early riser at all.
Same.
And so I hope he appreciates it. Okay. Because, he was like, Papa, I'm like, yeah, listen, hey, I'm losing sleep for you. And I'll do that any day of the week, all the time. So, but yeah, man, I'm doing well, man. I'm doing really well.
40 degrees. Hey, that's whether I wear a boxers and a smile in, you know what I mean? That's all I'm rocking in that weather. That's beautiful for me.
Okay. Well, see, so you that guy that I seen walking out of the gate. This joker had shorts on and it's short sleeve shirt. I'm like, dude, did you not get the weather report? Did you not see it? I'm just like, all right, and he just walking through like, with a little, baby carriage, and I was like, yo, I'm like, all right, he just out toughing me right then, So that's all right. One thing I wasn't gonna be is cold, so
I understand completely, man.
Yeah.
No, let's start off right here, JD. First of all, I wanted to say happy birthday to your mom. I was watching one of your recent videos. You said your mom turned 90. Is that correct?
No, so she'll be turning 90 this year. I was just with her. I was just saying that to me, anytime that I'm with her, it's a great joy. Anytime,
of course,
just having, and I see, mom comes first in everything. But she is, will be 90 years old. Still has all the faculties to her. My mom's funny. She's very funny. But that's one reason when I came to the show the other night with Chiefs Concerns, I was running a little bit behind. But I was just like, look, man, we'll put everything on the back end for this, So yeah, man. Just tell them it's a blessing, being with them. You know how it is. So
yeah, whenever her birthday is, happy birthday to Mama. That's awesome, dude. 90 years on this planet. I mean, I can't imagine the wealth of wisdom that woman has, man. And so you can definitely tell that it worked out because she raised a hell of a guy in you, brother. So, and I know something about you're the youngest of the group. Is that correct?
I am. Yes, I'm the youngest. So 11 out of my mom and dad, but my dad had 3 before then. So that's 14. But I am the baby boy. I'm the baby, the youngest of the group.
You're spoiled now.
They say that all the time, man.
Yeah, Marcus is the youngest too. See it. Marcus' dad.
Is it? Oh, well, yeah. Well, yeah, you know how it is. We got to say we're not spoiled, but you just
got to deny it. I get it.
Yeah, of course.
Well, the good thing is that JD's like 6'6", 280. So if you try to call him spoiled to his face, that probably won't go well. So we'll just keep it over here, from a distance on these digital sets.
Obviously, didn't miss a meal. That's for sure.
No. Well, you know what? I tell people all the time, the reason I'm the size that I am, because I had to fight for every little thing, every little crumb that was out there on the table. So
Yep.
Yeah.
I get it.
And well, hey, dude, listen, your time is valuable to us. Let's get right to this stuff, man. We very much appreciate you being here. I know the people have been looking forward to this all week. Look, before we get to the draft, we have to unfortunately get your thoughts on what's going on with Rashi. I don't know if you saw my tweet from the day a couple days ago. I got some intel from somebody in Texas that knows what's going on. They're a part of the whole representation.
Yeah.
Basically, what I got was, there's going to be some things filed. There's going to be some charges filed, about 1 to 2 max. But the aggravated assault is not one that they're looking to see get utilized in all this. That one's going to probably get dismissed. There's going to be a plea down.
Yeah.
Rashi's going to have to probably do community service, some hefty fines, some civil things are going to have to take place. He's going to probably get his license suspended, yada, yada, yada. Fact is, he dodged a major bullet in all this, and we're hoping he learns from this. And I think that's the message in all of it. Whether you're a young guy, older guy, doesn't matter. This is something you have to learn from. And, you being a former player, you've expanded on this on your show about, experiences of you dealing with cops and, the crazy-ass story you said on your show the other day. If you want to share that one, feel free. But JD, more than anything, I just want to get your thoughts on what this situation is. When you first heard about it, when you've been processing it, because I know you're a guy that processes things before you react. That's something I got to learn to do. Mm-hmm. But you've been processing this, and for the last couple of weeks, you've been, digesting all this. Where you sit right now in all this, man, and what are you expecting to see when all this is done?
Okay. First, before everybody believes I just been dealing with cops and stuff, it was, a simple traffic stop it was misunderstanding. It's a funny story. If you go to our channel, you'll hear what it's about, actually. So
it's funny. It is a good story.
Yeah, it's a good story. But for me, the whole Rashid Rice situation, it's a hard thing to swallow. Okay. For many reasons. One reason mainly is because this young man's life is changed forever. It really is. Not just his life, but everybody that was affected by this, lives are changed from this point on, right? And it's all about, to me, is what do you do moving forward? Yes, I believe in justice. I'm a big believer in personal responsibility and accountability. I don't think Rashid Rice was going to be able to dodge anything. I don't think he was at the time. I think he was so scared and out of his mind, he didn't really know what to do, that you start seeing bad decision after bad decision, right? Nobody disputes that, and especially not us. We said that full-throatedly about that. And we understand that he does have to face justice for his actions in this, right? Now, people could say, well, he came later and did, he's remorseful. I think he showed contrition. I do believe that he feels bad about it. I think he was at least trying to salvage what part of pride that he could with this whole thing, right? By going to an attorney, trying to find out, look, man, I've never been in anything like this in my life. I'm scared to death. I know I hurt some people. I don't know how bad it is. What do I do? Right. And so thank God it wasn't worse than what it was. People like death and all those different things. Yeah. But there were people that was injured. And so I do believe that people do need to get justice and restitution for those things. And I don't think Rashid Rice disputes that whatsoever. Matter of fact, when you was talking about his lawyer came out and said, hey, look, the first thing we did was we got in contact with the Dallas Police Department. Okay, to talk about these things, about what he was, what he was feeling. He answered every question, no problem, no problem about that. But not to give this guy, this young man, who's 23 years old, the amount of grace and not showing any type of empathy for what he's going through right now, this very, very tough part in his life, probably the hardest thing he's ever had to deal with, no doubt, okay? I think, to me, is really short-sighted, and I do believe it's callous if we don't show some type of grace, right? Of a guy who made a mistake, who didn't want to do it. It wasn't like it was purposeful. You street racing or doing anything that you don't think is going to, have any type of consequences, right? You don't think the worst thing's going to happen with it, okay? Right. When you're 20-something years old, you're not thinking straight. And if you believe you do, that you're the most sober of mind, then I have no idea how old you are, and if you've been able to get through 20 unscathed, then beautiful. Then you've had an angel on your shoulder, okay, without going into any type of trouble. So with us, Chiefs concerns, especially me, I was sitting there saying, look, Rashid Rice, I get justice, held responsible. Well, then what now? What now after this? Do you take his guy and you throw him away because he made a mistake? See, because the thing is, Lance, I could run through a list of people that I know, okay, that I just know, that had mistakes in the 20-something years old and gotten second, third chances in life, right? And thank God that they did. And they will tell you, man, I'm glad somebody just didn't throw me away. I'm glad I had somebody put their arms around me, hug me during my worst time, because I'm in the bad space now more than I ever started. I mean, this is what guys start, and I'm gonna be honest with you. This is what guys go to, we're talking about the mental thing, like suicide, all type, it goes to a spot, man. I don't think people that don't realize that they give the type of grace that they need for things like this is what I was talking about, right? Sure, be upset, fine. But Rashid Wright, he needs people around him. He needs his teammates. He needs his family, his friends, and people like that to hug around him. Same as the people that were victims in this. I hope they get full restitution. I want them all to be able to heal. For the victims, pray for them, everything that they can possibly get, right? Some type of reconciliation. But also, too, let's not throw away Rashid Rice. We can wag our finger at him all we want to. That's fine. Wag your finger. That's fine. Be upset. Come out. Be hey, he's a dirtbag, this and that, blah, blah, blah. Self-reflection. What have you done wrong? What have you done wrong and not been caught in, right? See, because you just never had to suffer the consequences. And I said, I made this example of how many people leave stadiums and different places, parties or wherever, bars, that's been drinking, okay? Yeah. And you believe, hey, you know what? I'm going to be able to get past this. I'm all right. I only had a couple drinks. Not saying that's what Rashid Rice was doing, but I'm just putting people in a situation like that, right? And you get home, and sometimes you're not even reflective on what you just did. How many people you just dodged? How many times we get out here and we get on our phone, right? I'm just going to check this real quick while I'm driving the car, and I'm looking up and down, and we sit there and we look at now all the stats on texting and driving, the amount of people that's killed. I think the dude, Michael, I can't think of Michael, what's his name, from the Brothers podcast, whatever it is, and he was saying, am I as bad as Rashid Rice? In context, yeah, because you're being reckless. Yep. Now, you doing this, you know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. It's probably you shouldn't be doing it while you're driving, okay? So that's why I said, man, we could be sober in our thoughts. We could be upset and angry at Rashid Rice. This man's life has moved. We don't want to throw away the key and lock him up forever like some people are saying. I don't think his life needs to be ruined. Does he need to learn a lesson? Absolutely, 100%. Hold him to the highest extent that you feel of the law, right? That you feel like he deserves. But is this somebody, like you say, Lance, is this somebody that learns from what he's doing? Now, I think he is, apologetic to say, he's like, man, I'm feeling shame. As he should. But he's like, man, I want to learn from this, right? I want to learn from this. And so, like I said, man, hopefully this whole thing moves on for everybody. Okay, he turned himself in. We seen the mug shot. If that's what everybody wanted, you wanted the public flogging and all that. You're getting it. What's going to satisfy you? How much of blood and anger and vitriol you going to throw to this guy to be satisfied? Do you need to throw him underneath the jail? Does he need to serve 2 to 5 years and whatever the maximum fines, all these different things are, right? Or do we put it in context and saying that every life is valuable and people do deserve chances? So go ahead, brother. That's where I'm at.
I couldn't have said that better myself. Now, from a teammate perspective, which is something that only really you can answer, we know that in particular with the Chiefs, especially over these last 10 years since Andy Reid took over, there have been some controversies. We've seen some players have to overcome some things. Mm-hmm. And the team's done a damn good job, at least from the outside perspective, of handling some of these things. And it feels like the team always stays focused, keeping the main thing. And it seems like these guys always have the right amount of support.
Yeah.
From your perspective, JD, as a teammate, let's say you were a tight end for the Chiefs right now. You're on the roster right now. You're getting ready for OTAs. Training camp will be here before you know it. You know you're going to see Rashi soon. If you haven't already talked to him, seen him already.
Right.
You're on the field. You guys are stretching, getting ready. Crowd's over there. You're feeling good about yourselves. And people are joking around, being jokers and everything. How do you handle that dynamic? Because it's going to be an elephant in the room. Let's be real. Everybody knows what's going on.
Right.
Do you handle it like, what's up, Rashi? And exactly nothing's going on? Or do you address it immediately? Do you address it later on when you guys are just kind of like have some one-on-ones? How would you, as a teammate of Rashid Rice's, handle it in a way that you're trying to be as supportive but also as direct as possible with him? Because I'd imagine you would take more of a leadership role in this type of situation. Yeah. I would just be interested to hear how you would handle it as a former player and as a teammate of somebody like Rashid.
Well, I would reach out to him as a teammate. Humanize it, okay? Because you're more valuable to me than just playing football. You know, you're my brother. I've been spending time with you, right? I want what's best for you and your family. I know your kids. I know your mother, your father, sisters and brothers. You know, your kids is playing with my kids. I'm going to reach out to you. Now, I might chastise you and say, hey, man, you know what you did was stupid, right? But guess what? I guarantee you done been beat up by 1,000 people. You still getting beat up out here, right? I'm going to sit here and say, man, I'm here with you during this time. If you need somebody to call me if you need to. I don't care if you're out here. I could get on you and tell y'all about it, but I'm going to just tell you, moving forward, these are things you need to do, okay? You understand that you put your life at risk, your not just your life, but your career and everything else at risk for this quick feel of high, okay? You don't need to do that. We need to be thinking of that. And look, Lance, I'm one of those guys, when I give people advice, I'm talking to myself when I'm doing it. Sure. You dig what I'm saying?
Yep.
So I don't want to go to the holier than thou and all that. Shoot, man, I understand, man. I'm an errant person that lives like we all are. Okay. But I want to make sure that when I come in, I want to be leveled and measured in the things that I'm saying. But it has to be about the support, because I know what he's going through. I know the pressure he is. And sometimes because we are icons and we play football, people don't look at us like that. They just look, they see this, right? And, you know, this the picture and, you know, hey, the guy catches football and stuff. Yeah, okay. And what else? Who is this man as in his heart, his mind? Can I appreciate him from every experience about who this guy is? Absolutely. And I should speak to them on such. And I'm going to tell you, like some of the other veterans, okay, in the past, how I dealt with some of these things. It is one of those like, hey, man, look, I know you're going through a rough patch. I know you're going through a tough time. So, you know, I'm going to love you up. I'm going to try to protect you if I can. If part of that means protecting you from yourself, I will. If I'm out somewhere and I see that you're doing something wrong that you need to be doing, and you already got into some trouble, you best believe I'm going to check you right there. Immediately. I'm going to check your boys around you who's sitting over here. Oh, man, look, your boy just got into this. What are you doing? Mm-hmm. How y'all gonna, rally him to do something else stupid? No, we ain't going to do that. So I think that's what I would do. And what I've seen in the past other guys do. And I've done it to past other people. And when people have done it to me, when I've done something stupid and I'm in shame and guilt and all those, somebody put their hand on my shoulder because I needed it. The worst thing somebody could do is turn away from me. Oh, shoot. And, wow, you only like me because I catch footballs. I win Super Bowls. Other than that, you don't care nothing about me. And so as players, man, we understand this. We regular people like y'all are too. Football is something we just do. And people just happen to see us. So obviously our life is going to be front and center for everybody, for the world to see. So guess what? I'm going to be front and center with my love for you. Okay, and my support. I'll condemn the action, but I'm not going to just condemn you and throw you away. I'm not going to do that. Somebody reported, what do you think? Yeah, it was a dumb move. I think he understands that. I know he understands it. Okay. I know what type of guy he is. And I think right now this guy needs support. And me and his teammate, I'm gonna support him in this tough time that he's going in his life. Okay. If we need to do something as far as the team and stuff to send money to the victims of these things too, to make it right, we'll do that as well. Hey, Rashid, my philosophy is, now, I told you, man, I'm a man of faith. And I believe that what you do is you shoulder the burden with everybody. If you're my brother, you going through something, I ain't gonna let you go through it alone. I'm gonna shoulder the burden with you. That's what I'm supposed to do. Use my shoulder too. Because if I'm down, let me use yours. I might have to lean on yours sometime. You know what I'm saying? Don't do that to me. Don't do that to me. Please. And that's how I look at it, man. So as a teammate and as a person and as a man, that's what I'm gonna do. So that's what it was.
Stuff, JD. It's powerful stuff, man.
Yeah.
That's what we have you on, because you get to give us this insight that Trevor and I can speculate. we haven't been in the locker room. We haven't been in the training facilities. We haven't had these one-on-ones with other guys that understand the pressures of being in the limelight like this as a athlete. It's
real.
I know you say we're just like everybody else. We just haven't played football, but there's a lot of pressure on you guys that we don't. The Jimmies and Joes out here, we don't experience on a daily basis. That everyone's paying. Every move you make, every step you take, they're watching.
It's heavy.
That's not something we spend. Yeah, it's very heavy.
It's a heavy load that people don't understand exactly what that is and what it means. And sometimes when I hear people because I seen a lot of people talking about Travis Kelce shotgunning the beer at his graduation and stuff, like what kind of role model was, and I'm like, guys having fun. You, as a parent, you be the role model.
Right.
Don't leave it on Travis Kelce to do that, guy. He catches footballs. If you want to watch him catch footballs and entertain, sure, do that. Absolutely. But don't have him raise your kids. Don't look at the thing he's doing. You going to tell your kids, go get you a star like Taylor Swift? Sure. Make the money that you can, right? Hey, fabulous things, okay? But there's more than, with success means more things than just that, right? And Travis is an errant person like each and every one of us, right? Since everybody don't believe in, and like I said, when people pile on to other people, sometimes you want to, is it the projection? Is it somebody who, you don't want to give grace because you're trying to hide your hat on some things, right? That's always the way when I sit there and I watch people come on TV, politicians or whoever, oh, I can't believe. And then next thing you know, next week, this sucker's in a scandal. He got loads of skeletons falling out of his closet. You know what I'm saying? He can't even hold them in there. So
JD,
I'm
this
like,
is why, not to interrupt you, but this is why I told Trevor from the beginning when we started this show, I said, the one thing we're not going to do on here is talk about people's personal affairs. Talk about what's going on in their lives, because we might think we have a good understanding. We may not know shit. So we're gonna keep it on the field, on the court. We're gonna talk about what they do as athletes, because I think it's completely unfair, because these people don't give a damn about what I'm doing in my life. They ain't out there judging me because they don't care. Why do I need to sit here and invest my time, my efforts into their personal affairs? It's not my business. What my business is to give an opinion on what they're doing on and not doing on the field. That's what we stick to. And I'm glad you brought up Travis on this, because I had a take this week, JD. I don't know if you saw it on Twitter or not, but it was actually last night preparing for the show, and I was like, well, we got JD on the show. I'm stoked about getting his thoughts on the mock draft. We're gonna get to that in a second, and and obviously the Rashi stuff we got to talk about, but JD's a tight end, and I know that's the position he loves to talk about the most.
Oh yeah,
and I'm like, Travis Kelce is Travis Kelce, when we could talk about him, but I want to talk about, and we talked about before you came on today, about, I think that in this draft, the Chiefs need to take the tight end position a little more seriously than they have, because the fact that since 2013, when they drafted Travis Kelce in the third round, they've only taken 2 tight ends in 10 years.
Yeah.
And both of them were 5th round picks. So those are like, flyer picks. Let's see what happens. Now, Noah Gray's been good. James O'Shaughnessy was fine. But none of them were guys that you could say, oh, that could be 65, 70% of Travis Kelce, because you're not replacing Travis Kelce. No. But you can replace some of Travis Kelce while also implementing another talented tight end into this offense that can help extend the pass game, extend the run game with the blocking. Like, I would love, and you remember one of the first things you and I ever talked about on Twitter, how we became friends, was when I talked about the skyscrapers on cleats. I wanted to see as many of these big dudes on the field as much as possible, running 12, 13 personnel as much as possible, because that's my favorite formation of offense. It's the most physical style, but it also opens up, there's so many options on the field to pass to as well. It's deadly. Yeah. And I want to see them take that position seriously in this draft. I'd like to see them draft a tight end within the first 3 to 5 picks of their draft. I'd like to see them go get a guy, because this tight end class is actually not bad. It's actually a pretty good draft class. So I don't think they're going to get Brock Bowers. He's going to go in the first 10 to 15 picks. But, man, maybe they could get a Stenot out of K-State. Maybe they could get a Cade Stover out of Ohio State. Maybe they could go and get the kid from Iowa. I forget his name right now. I'm blanking on it. But the point is, there are guys out there. And I would like to see them have a contingency plan, get ready for the decline of Travis Kelce. It may not come for another couple years, or it could be this year. I just don't want to see them have to be reactionary. I'd like to see them be preemptive and say, we already got our dude in place. He's, year 2, year 3, and he's ready to take over. May never be Travis Kelce, but he's a lot better than us just trying to hurry up and find somebody to replace him and do patchwork. What are your thoughts on that, JD?
I'll say I agree with you. I agree with you. I do believe that Travis Kelce's time here is limited. I do agree that we have to address that issue sooner than later. All right. Does it mean this draft? Not necessarily. I think we good probably with Travis for another couple of years, at least 2. Is the answer in this draft. Now, if I'm saying my answer is in this draft, then I had to go to the guy that I think fits more the mold of what Travis does. If you're gonna go big, either go big or go home. So do you move up for Brock Bowers? If he's in 1 through 15, do you move up for him? I think with a guy like that, you get 2 birds with 1 stone. I mean, seriously. Because I started thinking about this, and I'm just like, if you get him, you get your number 1 wide receiver, you get another guy who's a capable guy, gets open, can run any route against anybody. He's a dog out there on the field. I mean, he's, your lad, McGonkey, and all those different guys that you're looking for, then you can still get a wide receiver somewhere in the 2nd or 3rd. You can still do that if you go up on Blake Bowers or Brock Bowers. You can do that. So I'm like, man, I could entertain that all day, right? I mean, I really could. I could see that. I'm like, I like that possibility more than anything else. I really do. Ben from Kansas State, he's a guy that is very athletic, very big, more of your prototypical tight end size-wise, very athletic. He likes to block. He likes to hit guys. I could see us probably getting him. He could probably go in the 3rd or 4th round. Okay. If you're patient, you could possibly get him in the 4th. All right. Some of the mocks that I've been putting in, he's still available at the 4th. All right. Matter of fact, let me grab him. 4th, definitely. Let me go and grab him. All right. You know how to give your ratings. Oh, that's a C+ pick.
Yeah.
All right. For us, that's an A or B.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know how to quantify how they think, off his talent is sure, fine, whatever. But I think that with him being the long-term, at least giving us some of that cushion for Travis, get him here and learn a lot from Travis. Irv is here. Learn from Irv Smith. All right. Noah still has a role. He's going to be able to do what he's doing. We don't know what that's going to look like. I was one of those guys, actually, I put in. I wanted to just get Noah. I'm so glad that we got Noah in the draft, okay? Because I seen his talent when he was at Duke. And we can see similarities where Noah's gotten a lot better in his route running, okay? Now, obviously, we don't lean on him like we do with Travis because we asked Noah to do a whole lot more things of being like more of an H-back in the backfield and all those different things, on the line blocking, than you would ask for him to do what he did in college. That's the truth of it. But I'm not opposed to that at all, Lance, of addressing getting a tight end in the top 4 rounds. I'm saying if you go first, then you move up for Brock Bowers. That's what you do. Sure. Yeah. That's what you do if you're doing anything, okay? So that's where I would go. Other than that, if you want to sit back like, okay, fine, we don't get Brock, we can still go through what we, because we'll talk about the tackle, wide receiver, how we want to go. And if Ben is there, shoot, pull it. Bissano from Kansas State. Hey, everybody's going to be happy for that. Why wouldn't they? Right? Kid has been over here, been watching Travis Kelce all this time. Hey, man, it's like, true, dream come true. He got his boy Felix is out here. They could come and rock like they was, in college. Cool. So that's why I say, man, the answer, we know we're not going to get a Travis Kelce. That's always a crapshoot. Trying to get somebody like that. They had no idea that Travis was going to be the guy that he is. but that's something you can also address in free agency, maybe in a couple of years. And I'm just saying, in this draft, we don't know who's going to come out next year and the year after that. You know how guys are just they show up. You're like, look at this sucker over here catching 90 balls, have a 41-inch vertical, run a 4.3, 4.4 40 at tight end. We didn't know we was going to get him. We should have waited. So I just don't. If we go Brock all the way. If not, then you wait to get a Ben. That's how I look at it. So I hope that answered the question.
No,
but I really try to look at it in the way, man. But you had me think about it. I'm like, yeah, I was kind of thinking the same thing. I really was. But I was thinking later on, like, yeah, you got to get a tight end now, and you could get a sneaky good tight end somewhere around there, 3rd or 4th round. You really can. Right?
Yep.
Ain't gonna hurt you. You know what your needs are. Shoot, if you get this guy and he's sitting here, you snatch that joker up, man. Address what you need to address. Snatch that joker up. You win.
If the Chiefs ended up getting Brock Bowers somehow, some way, you're not hearing any complaints from me. That man is a freak, and I would love that very much. But I love the fact that you addressed the fact that, you know, in the middle of the draft, a Ben Stenot or, you know, somebody like that sitting there, it just makes all the sense to pluck him out of there, man, and add him to this offense. I love it. Now you explain that.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it was Marcus Dash, your co-host, got on our chat and told me Iowa's tight end Eric All, another guy that I like. I think he's big, physical, receiving type tight end. And it feels like Iowa always has these damn awesome tight ends coming out, man. It's insane what they do. It's like they're growing out there in the cornfields or something. But you know, speaking of this draft, and I don't want to take too much of your time here, JD, but man, I was stoked as hell to talk about this, man, because I think you have one of the more unique mock drafts I've seen so far. And the biggest reason why I think it's so unique is because I think that you took the approach of let's do what Veach normally does, which is overcorrect.
Mm-hmm.
We saw after the 2020 Super Bowl when Patrick Mahomes got pummeled by that Buccaneers defense front seven, overcorrected our offensive line. You know, we've seen him overcorrect the defense at the cornerback position and just draft cornerbacks and just make sure they have enough there that if they lose a L'Jarius Sneed, they're not going to miss a beat. We've seen him do this time and time again, and I think that's what – I don't want to speak for you. That's why we have you on in the show, so you can speak for yourself. But I think that's what you were talking about here when I was watching your guys' episode with you, Marcus, and Tasia. And if we could, Trevor, let's go ahead and throw that mock draft episode. Now, these are the first 4 picks, four rounds.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first 4 picks of JD's mock draft right here. So you have Braden Fisk, the defensive tackle of FSU. Love that pick.
Yes.
Trevor and I both are very much into the idea of getting an interior presence next to Chris Jones, a guy that can bounce outside if you need him to. Just a very physically gifted dude. I love Braden Fisk, and I love this pick. I think if the Chiefs could find a way to get him, no matter where they get him, trade up, trade back, or at 32, that's a hell of a pick. Then you go Jalen Polk, wide receiver out of Washington. This kid, you talk about, you like his size. He's got good hands. He high points the ball. He's got good range. He's got good feel for the good spatial awareness. This is a good pick. And then if we could show what Tasia's reaction was, Trevor, real quick, let's go ahead and throw his face up there, because this is Tasia's reaction when this came up. Our guy Tasia was like, "Oh, okay, let him cook." Because this is let's get this draft back up here. Because Brendan Rice, I'm gonna be totally real with you, JD.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of my favorite players in this draft.
Yeah, man.
Oh wow. Okay.
The lineage alone.
Yes.
This man is Jerry Rice's son. Now I know when you're, LeBron's kid, the pressure's on you and you'll never amount to your dad. Michael Jordan's kids will never amount to their dad, and yada, yada, yada. But man, Archie Manning had a couple sons.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying. I think Brendan Rice is special. And not to give away my mock draft, but this is one of my favorite players that I think the Chiefs should be all over. So although I'm not necessarily on board with them double dipping at wide receiver back to back, I like where your mind's at here, because I think Brendan Rice, 6'2", 209, big, long, stretches the field, great route runner, great hands, has the legacy factor. Like I said, played in a big school with Caleb Williams, who ever compares to who? Patrick Mahomes. He knows the style. He understands the style of the quarterback. It fits. It's beautiful. If they could get this dude in the 3rd round, holy shit, that is a knockout draft pick, in my opinion, man. This is the kind of guy that they've been missing forever. A big physical receiver with that kind of presence that can catch those balls downfield, stretch the field, be that guy that they have to respect and fear every single week. And then you finish it off with, I think, one hell of a pick. 𝚂𝙿𝙸𝚂𝙾𝙳𝙴. I think that's how you say his last name. I've been studying tackles like an MF in this draft, and guards, offensive linemen as a whole. And this has been one of my favorite guys too. Now, I don't know if the Chiefs will wait this long to go after this kind of guy, because he probably will be a day 2, day 3 player. But Utah has been able to produce some good offensive linemen, some good trenches guys. And this dude, I looked up his grade today, and I have his grade right here, so I can tell you that I'm not making this crap up here. So he's 6'4", 319 pounds. His arms are 32 7/8 inches long. A little bit short for Andy Reid's style, but we'll go with it. He has a 6.16 grade. A good backup with the potential to develop into a starter, which is everything you would want out of a guy at that draft position.
No doubt. Right.
So,
absolutely.
JD, I think you cooked here, man. I mean, you and I might have different styles of how we go about this. But these 4 dudes are 4 dudes. So I'm going to give you some credit here, and now I'm going to let you continue to cook this badass meal that you prepped for us here, bud. Go ahead.
Well, I tell you, to me, my thought process is this. We know what our needs are. We know we want to address tackle, wide receiver, and for me, defensive tackle, somebody on the defensive line. I said we've been doing kind of a patchwork job on the D-line over the years. And we just got to be honest with what it's been, right? We need somebody to complement Chris Jones on the other side. We need a guy that has a high motor, like you said, physically gifted, absolutely destroys double teams, uses his hands well, and he loves playing football. You can see it. It's infectious. The way he's able to get off, stay low, push guys back, Brandon Fisk, to me, just made sense. It really made sense. And so I was saying, if we have a deficit, right, that some people want to talk about with, L'Jarius Sneed being gone, I do believe our corners that we have is going to be able to fit in well, right? I talked about them. I said, hey, man, we need to go ahead and we need to, challenge these guys early so they can get their feet wet. That's what we need to do. And so if you have any concerns that these guys aren't going to be able to do it, well, give Chris Jones somebody else up there that's going to be able to rush the passer, okay? When you're sitting over there and you're looking across the board, the cupboard's not bare. It ain't just Chris Jones and then everybody else or George, right? Charles when he comes back, Felix, so we still got to figure out what he's going to do, how good he's going to be. We got Mike Dannon back, which is great, okay? But Mike Dannon is like the smaller defensive end, okay, that we've been trying to put inside and, hey, Mike, can you hold up? And Mike's like, yeah, I'm going to do what I can do, right? And teams are going to sit there keep running to him. He's a smaller guy, just makes sense offensively. I'm not run toward him. That's what you're going to do. You got a guy like Brendan Fisk right beside you, okay, who will decimate any double team, all right? That's the guy that you pick. That's the guy that you bring here. It's going to learn what Chris Jones is. Look at his body type, man. This guy's lean, man. He's muscular. This sucker's built. You know what I'm saying? He reminds me, I'll say this. You can never have too many great defensive linemen, okay? Just talking about him real quick. He does a tremendous job. And so if you have somebody who can get after the ball carrier and the quarterback like him, I think it's a win-win situation on our defense, right? Defense win championships. Plus, you don't keep all the guys off our linebackers, all right? That's another thing we want them to do. We want our linebackers to roam because we end up signing, which I believe was, the right move, okay? The right move. And keep them, where they're able to roam. Seriously. So that's why I like Brandon Fisk. I got tired of us getting 1-year deals with guys over and, hey, when you come back and do another year? And hey, man, look, get you a stud. Go get you a stud right now.
Right.
All right? Get somebody. So that's why I went with him. So Jalen Pope. everybody knows who 𝚂𝙿𝙸𝚂 is. We know his talent, what he's able to do. Sometimes we have a guy that's so talented that you miss out on who else you got all around you, right? When you watch 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺𝙺 and what he's able to do, he has a high catch radius, goes up against the football, challenges anything and anybody. He may not have the suddenness that you expect, but he's good enough. He's a big physical guy that can get open. He'll catch anything. That's another thing. The Joker's gonna catch anything thrown to him. So I love his, his catch rate, his, the challenge and whatnot. So I like him as a receiver. I think he gives us a lot of depth that we really need, especially for somebody who could play outside and in slot. But he's the outside guy. We need some outside guys. With Rashee Rice going through what he's going through, we need a guy to come in here, right? To catch some footballs with some strong hands. He's got strong hands. He's a powerful dude. And when I hear other people talk about him, they like, hey man, this dude he's a real dude. He's a real dog. I seen Smith talk about it, and he was sitting there saying like, man, I like 𝚂𝙿𝙀𝙺. I was sitting there thinking before he got on, I'm like, daggone, he likes Polk too. So that just solidified it to me. I'm like, well, shoot, if he like Polk, he's going to be as hard on wide receivers as you could possibly be. So that's why I like Polk. I like Polk a lot. Then we talk about, hey, Brendan Rice. Everything that you said, you get a guy to come in here who will work hard from day one. You never had to question where his heart is, what his responsibility is going to be, his accountability, okay, his dedication to his craft to get better. He's got the best coach in his dad, who's the greatest wide receiver in the game, okay?
Yep.
All right? So Jerry's going to be at the games. He talks to his dad. I said this. He talks to his dad after every game. I guarantee he talks to him every single day. I promise you that's what he's doing. And so he's going to be on his business because he's just going to make sure he wins. He's going to do all the little things right, all the things that you're not even, trying to measure and quantify. He's going to do it, and it's going to show up in the game. He's going to get the blocks and make sure you spring Isaiah Pacheco, for a touchdown, or CH, or whoever the halfback happens to get the ball at the time. He's just going to go all out. He's got great hands. He's a big guy. He runs hard. This is a guy that you need. You know it. Every rep is never going to be wasted. You never have to worry about is he going to run hard on this rep or not. You never have to worry about that guy. You can turn the back on this guy because you already know what he's doing. You know what he's doing out the field. You know what he's doing on the field. You never had to question what he's doing. He's sitting in a meeting with his glasses on, writing everything down, and everybody else is like just sitting over there getting tired of the meeting. He's like, yes, eating everything up. Hey, coach, you said this on this route, so how do that's the type of guy you need. You need a guy like that, especially in a room like this, okay? When I say especially a room like this, like young guys, but young guys that now you got a resource. He got a resource of the best wide receiver in the game, and his dad. Who won't want to be around Jerry Rice? If you're in a room like, hey, man, your dad is Jerry Rice. Can I talk to him? Yeah. Hey, Jerry Rice will take everybody out to dinner. Anytime, talk to everybody. Hey, he might come in the building to sneak in for a couple of meetings. I promise you. This, you know what I'm saying? So that's why I like Brandon Rice, man. I just think he's a kid. He's a no-miss kid to me. He really is. He'll be perfect for the Chiefs, right? So now the Chiefs got this black eye with Rashee Rice and all that. Get Brandon Rice here, okay? Get Brandon Rice here, a guy who's going to try hard, somebody who's going to lay out for every little ball, everything he possibly can do, okay? And maybe that helped, take some of the anger and the hate and stuff like that from Chiefs Kingdom when you see Jerry on the sideline, right? I don't know. But, and so 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺𝙺, dude, watching him in the Senior Bowl, reading all the information on him, I was just impressed with what he's able to do, his versatility. And so you said they had him rated like what 6.1, like could be a future starter.
Yeah, basically 6.2.
6.2. Yeah. So he's that range. Anytime over 6, he's a guy that could be eventually a starter in the league.
Yep.
And I said this. I said, look, let's say you bring him in. Will be a perfect look. He'll learn everything he needs to learn. with our all-line coach, these guys that's here on the line, he'll learn it all. He'll get what he needs to become a better professional, better pro, a better technician in the game. And let's say you might want to get out of your contract with somebody, or you want to move somebody over to the left, whatever you want to do. He's a perfect fit. He could play guard. He could play tackle. Okay? If you decide to move on, I'm just going future-wise because we never know what's going to happen, right? Let's just say the Chiefs decide not to sign trade back, okay? Because they got a number of guys they need to sign next year. Who you going to let go of, right? If Trey is that guy, okay, and hopefully he's not. Well, I don't know who is going. I don't know. But if it is, you got a guy that you've been watching who can play both positions, who has played both positions, okay? Not only is he strong enough to do the thing, he's athletic enough to do it. So he's strong enough to play on the inside, but athletic enough to play outside on the tackle as well. If you bring him here and you're saying, okay, Juwan Taylor is your fit over here on the right. What we want to bring Sato in, let's put him over here on the left. Okay? Let him learn a little bit more over here. Give him a whole year to get this all thing down, right? I always say the hardest transition is going from right to left or left to right. It is. Not as tough if you right dominant going to the right side because it's right-handed. You're like, oh, okay, I can make that adjustment easier than it is from right to left. He can learn. This is a guy that has the talent that can learn. I like athletic tight ends or tackles. I like athletic tackles who can move feet. I like putting their hands out there. Look, I don't care about guys holding. I know they, talking about, well, he puts his hands out here and stuff. I was like, shit, I did that. I did. But I was crafty in it. You know what I mean? When I come out, I'll lock you down. So it looked like we're fighting out here, but the whole time I'm holding you like Donovan Smith was doing against the dude up there with the Jets. And he's holding. How's that holding guy? He ain't gonna catch it. Hey, man, shoot. I let him go, but it's tactful.
Veteran move.
It's a veteran move. Yep. Teach him that. Okay? Teach him that. Hey, look, I can get your penalties down. Tell you how. Okay? That's the way I look at it. So if you want to address the tackle issue, right? And I know the question is, are they going to bring Donovan Smith back? Or is Wanya Morris the answer? And here's my thought on this. Wanya Morris, for the small sample size that we got from him last year, was promising. But we also seen where he wasn't as adept to the things that was going on. Like when you came up against a real dude, okay, with the Raiders, what you seen, it was a clinic that they put on to a guy that's like, hey, he's a rookie. He's not ready, right? And then you seem to step back and everybody's like, oh, okay, we don't know if he's ready, right? He's gotten this experience. He's going to be better than he was when he played in those games next year, okay? He's growing now. He learned what he did wrong. He's learning on those moves that he got beat on. So he's taking that. He's putting it in his data. He's making sure, like, okay, this I see what I need to get better at. Okay, he's working with Lance, and I'm telling you how this works. He's working with the coaches on the things that he did wrong. His deficit. Okay, this is what you're having problems and issues with. This is what you got beat with. We're gonna work on this, and I'm telling them they'll work at that ad nauseum. Okay, all off season, he's getting that work now. He doesn't forget how he got beat. And he's sitting there saying, I'm going to get beat like that again. Okay? He's going to find some other guys to get rush me like this guy did me. I just want to make my hands and my feet. Hopefully he's doing that. Right? If I'm sitting over here and I'm gonna make sure that you're blocking for the greatest quarterback in the game, you better have your stuff right. I don't want you taking no time off. No, when it's time for, you need to come in here and work. You want to take it serious? You don't want nobody to take your position? You need to be in here. And coaches need to see you. When Andy's coming in, knocking, closing the lights out on, who was that working out? Oh, that's Wanya. Okay. Oh, all right. Shoot. And maybe he forces our hand because he's getting the work that he needs to get, right? So do you bring Donovan Smith back? I like Donovan Smith, okay? He's a veteran guy. You know what you're going to pretty much get. He's crafty. He's going to hold you. You know, I think he's 31 years old, 30 or something like that, somewhere around there. But he was serviceable. He did a great job. I think he did a great job for us last year. Okay, so do you sign him? But you know, it's all about the money. What are you going to sign him for? That's the question. I know Donovan went out there. He's trying to get more money than teams are willing to pay for him. They're not. So this draft is going to tell a whole lot as far as like what you want to do. My thing is with tackles, and I said this, and I think I posed this question on my account, that the five top tackles taken last year graded somewhere around where Donovan Smith did and a little less. They weren't even top 50, okay? Through PFF grading system. That's where they were, okay? That's what it was. So, and like nobody blew you out of the water. I think it might have been one, I can't think who it was, that was like 40-something, okay? And he was like a 4th-round pick. Man, I can't think of his name. But he was the guy to do it. Left tackle is one of those things, man. If you go for John Alt, cool, sure, right? That's who you pay for, okay? That's the no-miss guy you won't get. Other guys, hey, Karan from Yale, you want to get him? Might get him later on. Do you want to get Jordan Morgan from Arizona? They talked about the guy from Oklahoma who's playing right. It's still going to be a learning curve with these guys, unless he's a no-miss guy. John Austin, no-miss guy to me. He's a plug-and-play dude. Yeah. I trust him. Other guys, I don't know. I don't know if I trust them guys like that to protect the biggest asset in the NFL. Because we have the biggest asset in the NFL, no doubt. Right? Mm-hmm. Yep. Bottom line. So you got to make sure that you get the right guy for that job. And that's why I couldn't understand. And I'm sure we did. I'm sure they went for guys, for tackles, try to pay what they could, but they know like they was limited what they could do, obviously. Okay. But you got to get a guy here. You got to get a guy here. I just think that sometimes in these drafts, you don't know what you're going to get based off the 5 guys we get that was last year. They was talking about how good they were and all of this, and heck, 2 of them play guard. Right? Isn't that crazy?
Yeah,
that's crazy. Moving to guard. The other 3 tackles, and one of the guys I wanted to get here, my man at Chicago Bears. He's on the right side.
Yeah,
played in Tennessee.
Yeah.
Forgive me for getting these guys' names, but you know who I'm talking about. Right? Yeah. So.
Well, and then you have guys in this draft that, like, for instance, Kansas, they have a guard, Dominic Pooney, who can play all 5 positions. He has 34-inch arms, right at it.
Ooh, okay.
Plays left, right tackle, guard, center. He's played it all. And I know that's the kind of guy that the Chiefs are interested in, versatile guys, like you said. And, people have come to me and said, well, Lance, Andy doesn't like to play rookies. And that's true for the most part. But we know when you coach as long as Andy has, it's inevitable that you're going to do things that you've never done before. And we saw in 2021 where he started not 1, but 2 rookies on his offensive line with Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith. Yeah. So if you're good enough and you're a dog and you got this job down, I mean, they obviously trust. I mean, I know Donovan Smith was dealing with a neck injury, which is why Wanya inevitably played left. But they obviously had faith that Wanya had the ability to do it. And we'll see whether Wanya is going to turn into that or if he's going to be a backup to Juwan Taylor, right tackle. We don't really know because we played both. He played both left and right at Oklahoma as a 3rd-round pick. There's a lot, like I said, at offensive line that I think that Brett Veach is going to have to answer here. And I think left tackle is one of the biggest needs by far on this team. And trenches, to me, is where it matters the most. And so that's actually where my final question for you of the day here, JD, is, I asked Trevor this before you came on. Right now, the Chiefs have 7 picks.
Yeah.
I think there's a better chance they either trade up for a guy that's falling that they didn't expect to fall, or they trade back because they know where the trends are leading and if they think the guy they really like will be there at 45, 46, they can trade back even 10 spots, 10, 15 spots. If that's the extreme. Regardless, I think both of those are more likely than for them to just to sit at 32, because I do believe Brett Veach is going to say, I'm going to swing for the fences for a guy I like, or I want, that's 10 spots ahead, or I'm going to take 10, 15 spots back and collect 2 to 3 more picks and get 9, 10 picks as opposed to 7. I think those are more likely scenarios. But regardless of the scenario, in your opinion, because Brett Veach has taken 41 players in the draft since he's been the Chiefs GM, 27 of those guys were defensive players. And I like that strategy. I think that you draft defense and you pay offense. That's my belief. You go and you pay for the skill position guys, your quarterback, your offensive lineman, and then you go and you draft your corners, your linebackers, and guys like that.
Mm-hmm.
But in your opinion, could this be one of those drafts, the first draft, the second draft, that Brett Veach drafts more offensive players than defensive players?
Short answer, yes.
Yeah.
For the simple fact that on offense is a need. It's a need. I think pretty much defensively, we kept most of our guys intact. The three starters that L'Jarius Sneed was a guy that was like, okay, we had to have a guy for him. Willie Gay, love Willie. But when Drew Hill came here, when Drew was here, they just like, okay, that's the reason we brought him here. If people don't understand, like when you bring guys here, like, well, why they get another up? That's why, because they know Willie was up on the books. That's why. It's a business. Okay. So Willie, you better play lights out football, right? Mike Edwards leaves. Well, we know we got Connors, we got Cook coming back. We got other guys who can play that position, right? Mike, love you, brother. Appreciate it. Hey, go get that bag. Go ahead and do it. We got some young bucks out here who can play some ball too, right? And you was a reserve. If Cook didn't get hurt,
right?
You was the coming in guy. You reserving. So offensively is something we know we need. Okay, we're depleted. We got Hollywood Brown. Cool. Hollywood Brown is our guy that was going to be with Rashee Rice. Now with the whole situation with Rashee Rice, we're not going to have him. Okay, so we're back in the same boat that we were in before. Okay, with a smaller guy, different skill set than Rashee Rice. Let's be honest. Okay, now you go and say, well, we need some receivers. Kadarius Toney's a question. Scott Moore is a question. We're not going to show up. Jalen Watson hasn't really been the answer. Justin Ross, we don't know. He's still going to be on the roster. Okay. And so same thing, patchwork. Who's doing what? We need some dogs here. Cover's looking bare again. You better go get some guys that plug and play right now, immediately. Brandon Rice will come in and play. Polk will come in and play. Get you another wide receiver. If you want to move up for a guy that hey, these guys, move up for him, Lance, like you said. These other wide receivers that's in the middle realm, you can stay there with it. There's certain wide receivers I don't like because of our scheme that we run that I'm just like, a little tepid on these dudes, okay? Some guys I'm like, well, why don't you wait for them? Unless you go wide receiver, somebody that you want that's going to make that transition and be that guy as a number one or legit number two, legit number one or two, that's how you got to go get it, right? That's why I like two wide receivers in the top. I like two wide receivers quick. You know what I'm saying? Because you want them for a long time too. Rashee Rice does his due, right? He reconciles with everything out, whatever they give him. 8 games, a whole year, whatever it may be, right? Because this is what you got to look at. You really got to look at yourself like Rashee Rice might be out this entire year, okay? Don't get rid of him. He may be gone for the entire year. I'm telling you right now, I see that is like they're going to take this thing serious. You know what I'm saying? They're going to take it serious. Absolutely. If it was just a wreck, that's one thing. The walking away, That was a real bad look. They like, oh, this dude got to learn his lesson. Okay, that they gonna say that, and people they gonna want blood. You know how it is. How do you give him such and such games? You can look at other things all in the past if you want to. Roger Goodell is going to be making his decision based off how other people feel. He'll get everybody talking about Rashid Rice is the worst thing ever. NFL, they always got him. The felon league, National Felons League and all of that. What are you going to do when he's okay? Fine. Get guys here. Tyler Boyd, sure. If you want to go get Tyler Boyd, fine, go get him. Right? If you don't get what you want in the draft, come here. And I told Marcus this, if you get a guy like that here, try to get like a 3-year deal, 2-year deal. Get something out of it, as opposed to the one. Don't keep getting these mercenaries in every single year to come in, win a championship, and leave. Get a ring, I'm gone, and let me go get a bag. No, we want somebody here, okay? He's a solid receiver. We can utilize him. He's an older veteran guy. He help these young guys out, okay? He can help these young guys out. So moving up and moving back, I see it. But going to your point, what you're saying, we definitely had to go more offense than we do defense this year. I don't think that's in dispute. My thing is, if we go defense, I want you to address something that we haven't addressed for a long time other than Chris Jones. Why we keep having Chris Jones? If you put $30 million with him, don't wear Chris Jones out.
Right.
Why you keep wearing him out? That now your $30 million ain't gonna go as long as you wanted to go, because he had to keep taking double teams and you wearing him out all the time. That man was tired.
That was a 5-year. That's a 5-year contract.
That's a 5-year contract, man. Chris Jones was tired.
Yeah.
He'd been held all year, and nobody calls it. They grabbed him everywhere to try to stop Chris Jones, because he's the best defensive tackle in the league, bar none. Okay, we knew it was up in the air with him, and Aaron Donald, two different. But Chris Jones, without a doubt, has that card. Period. Don't wear him out. Get a guy in here that's going to take double teams. He singled up. Now you can't. Well, we can't double team Chris because we got this dog over here we got to deal with too. Brandon Fisk, or if you want to get my man from Illinois, right?
Or Chris Jenkins from Michigan. Woo.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. He's a dog too. I have him on one of my drafts as well. So I'm
from Texas.
Yeah. If I will, I'll just entertain you with one of my other mocks when I was going through my mocks.
Yeah, go ahead, do it.
I had for round 1, Ladd McConkey. Round 2, Chris Jenkins. Number 3, my boy, his son, Jeremiah Trotter Jr. Number 4,
linebacker.
Yes, sir, Ben Sinnott. Number 5, Dylan Johnson, halfback from Washington. And the 5th round, a second one in the 5th round is Jalen Simpson, safety from Auburn. And I'm just looking at this.
I told Trevor, if they take a defensive back in this draft at all, I do believe it'll be a safety, because Justin Reed's on his last year of his contract.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's where you would go. That's where you would go. So that's how I looked on this one. So I got, we did different mock drafts, but I did like that. I had a great grading on that one. But I mean, Trot, man, I played it with Dag up here in Philadelphia. He's dog. That sucker right there, ball. Absolutely ball. Okay. He's another one of that lineage. Yes, he does. That's another one of the lineage. I know that joker can play. Okay. We talking about Brendan Rice. He can play. His daddy watched him. And shoot, he gets it. He gets it honest. So yeah, I do think that's what you do. You do more offense than anything else. Yeah, yes, he is. Good player. He's a great player. But I do believe that you got to go offense, man. You have to. So Lance, let me ask you, okay?
Yeah.
Because I don't know. You tell me what your however you want to give me. Give me your top 4 or 5 guys. What did you have? So I'm gonna give you 2. Give me two mock drafts for you, okay? Different from the first one that you gave. So go ahead. You have them? How you want to go?
the top 4 guys, I told Trevor before the show today that this is the one year where I've just been absolutely obsessed with mock drafts. I've never done this stuff before. It's been real fun, man. I was the least informed guy, but this year I've really tried to stick my feet in the sand and try to be informed. This year's been fun for me, man. A kid that I really like, because I've been focused, like I said, so much on the offensive line.
Yeah.
And these will be in no particular order, but the guy that I really like is BYU's tackle, 𝚂𝙿𝙸𝚂𝙾𝙳𝙴. I think that's how you say his name. I like him. He's got long arms. I think he's a 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺𝙀 as well. Really like 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺𝙀. Massive 6'7", 300 pounds, humongous 35 inch arms. Those are 2 tackles I really like and I think are realistic guys that the Chiefs could get if they are at 32 or later.
Okay.
When it comes to, because I'm 100% agreeing with you with defensive line, that's the second spot that I've been really looking at a lot. Chris Jenkins is the guy that comes to mind every single time for Michigan. He's a freak. And then obviously Sweat from Texas are 2 guys. The only thing about Sweat is I wonder about his motor. Does he have the sustainability? Because you get Chris Jones, he's on the sidelines, you can push him back out there. Is Sweat going to be that same guy? I don't know. He tends to be a guy that likes to take some plays off.
Yeah.
And then the 4th, and again, this is just all interior guys, Dominic Pooney again. I really, really, I think this is the kind of guy the Chiefs found him at like 64, or if they trade back and get a couple more picks in the 2nd, 3rd round, he's still there. Colton Beebe from Kansas State.
Okay.
Another awesome interior defensive or offensive presence because, to your point, Creed Humphrey's contract's coming up. Trey Smith's contract's coming up. Is Joe Thuney going to be here in 2025 at 33 years old? Those 3 positions might need to be filled. Yeah. And you want to go and get the best guys available because they went and got Creed Humphrey in the 2nd round. Trey Smith was a 2nd round grade, but had the blood clot issue and fell to the 6th. Yep. So those are guys that were 2nd round picks essentially. The Chiefs got in the same draft. They could do that again this year. When it comes to other drafts, other positions I'm looking at. Man, linebacker, I'm so glad you brought up Trotter. Because him, Colson out of Michigan, I think are 2 absolute studs that the Chiefs have to look at because also on that side on the ball of the Chiefs, Nick Bolton, are they going to extend him? Most assume they will. But maybe they don't. We don't know. They just gave Drew Tranquill that 3-year deal. Maybe they're looking at him as a veteran sustainability and then going and getting this young stud in this draft in the middle of this draft. I also really like Tommy Eichenberg from Ohio State. Okay. Really like him. Yeah. And kid from Kentucky. God. Trevin Wallace.
Yes. Yeah.
Love that kid. And I think he's a guy that could potentially fall. Chiefs might find him in the 5th round. If you go and get a Trevin Wallace, that kind of talent in the 5th round, man, sign me up. So, and when it comes to wide receivers, I know I'm kind of giving you like a bunch at once, but I'm trying to piece it all together out of my brain. Wide receiver, like I told you, man, top of the list, Brendan Rice. I love his talent. I think this kid could be a mixture of like a DK Metcalf and T. Higgins. And I'm not saying that disrespectfully to those guys. He's got the size and the ability those guys have. I think he might get slept on, and people underestimate because he's a legacy kid. But like I said, Howie Long had kids, Archie Manning had kids, and they all ended up becoming badasses. Brendan Rice could become that next badass. I also really like Javon Baker out of UCF. I don't know if you see anything on him or not.
No.
6'1", 6'2", 200 pounds, really good physical receiver like you talked about when it came to Jalen Polk. Very similar guys. Strong hands, reliable guy. I really like him as well. I'm indifferent on is it Swift out of North Carolina?
Devontae. Yeah.
I'm indifferent on him. I would probably go with you on Jalen Polk over him. So those are like those 3 or 4 receivers that I would probably look at that are realistic options. I know Tasia said Burton out of Alabama. There's something I don't like about the guy. I mean, he's physically gifted, but I feel like there's some trouble outside of football that might distract him. And knowing the level of severity that the Chiefs are already dealing with wide receiver problems off the field, I don't think adding to that would be something they would want. So those are the names I'm really looking at right now, man, that I think that the Chiefs definitely need to be entertaining as far as guys they draft. How they draft them, when they draft them, that's all up to them. We'll have our prediction show in a couple weeks. But those are some names, man, that I wanted to throw out there. I'm glad you said Trotter because I was big on Trotter. I've mock drafted him probably 4 or 5 times.
Okay.
It's been between him and Tommy Eichenberg.
All right. Okay. And that's the reality. The reality is these guys are up next year. We don't know we're going to resign them. We don't know that.
Right.
We don't know what these monster contracts can do. So if I can find a guy that can do what you can do, right? Is that good? You're going to go with the cheaper option.
Right.
Okay. What you going to do? So,
especially if they can ball.
Like
if Trotter came in here, let's say the Chiefs draft him, he ends up becoming a stud. The incentive to pay Nick Bolton is gone.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It's no offense to Nick because Nick can make his money elsewhere, but you found his contingency.
Right. Everybody would love to have a Nick Bolton. Love to have him. Okay.
Yeah.
Tackling machine. But if you get a guy here cheaper, that's just the business of it, right? Well, that sucks, but yeah, this is how it works, right? It's the world of it.
Save money somewhere.
You have to.
Yeah.
You have to. So that's reality. Yeah. Trey may not be here. Tooney may not be here, like you said, Creed.
Yeah.
To me, Tooney's deal is a steal because of the quality and caliber guy that we got. Joe Tooney is one of the top guards in the league.
Yeah.
By far. Okay. That's a guy, and I'm like, that makes sense. That money's going, like you said, pay offense. That guy right there makes sense.
And then funny, JD, not to cut you off, but to add to your point, when they signed Joe Tooney, it was the highest contract a guard ever made in history. And people are like, what are the Chiefs thinking?
Yeah.
And he's actually over exceeded that contract. Like he's outplayed it.
He's a Swiss Army man.
Yeah. Right. I mean, it just great investment. Great investment. Like I said, it looks like a deal now. Play the long game with this guy. Play the long game with him, right? So, no, that's my thing. You know what? I like all your thoughts. I wrote Javon Baker down. I'm gonna look at him because I haven't really. I think I've seen his name, but I haven't actually watched him yet. I looked at the guy from Javon, the dude from UNC. Kind of watched his film a little bit. I think he's kind of. I'm gonna talk about some of the things, like your thoughts. I think he's a guy that you could come in. He's a guy that's more coming off the bench type of dude. I don't know if he's your answer as starter. You were talking about my man at Texas, defensive tackle. I think he's more the same that we have. Body type wise, like you said, we don't need guys taking time off. We don't need dudes like that.
Right.
Okay. We need guys that's gonna scratch and claw and bite and what I mean, come at the guy each and every time. Like there's nothing you're gonna be able to do to hold this guy down. You're not gonna make him tired. You're not gonna make him quit. Nothing is gonna do that to deter him from getting to the quarterback. That's why I like Brandon Fisk. That's why I like Chris Jenkins. Chris Jenkins is another guy. He's got a bag worth of, making moves, athletic guy. He can do it all. He'll wow you on film, everything he's doing. Okay. I don't think some of the things some of the guys that, some of the negatives and weaknesses is not going to show up. Okay. He looked like he learns quick about they beat me there. Cool. I'm going to beat you with 5 moves next time. Right. And it is. So I like Chris Jenkins a lot. I do.
And some of these names aren't in positions that are sexy. Like, we're not talking a bunch of wide receivers here.
Right.
We're talking about interior guys.
But
these are the guys that make the differences in big games. Like we talk about Chris Jones making differences in the Bills games, the Ravens games, the 49ers game, and the Super Bowl. Those are the guys you need. Trenches are what wins games, man. And so
absolutely.
I think these are the kind of guys. And just to let you know, I looked it up. Javon Baker, his grade is 6.25.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And to Jalen Polk's 6.15. Now, that's according to NFL Network or NFL.com.
Yeah,
so just take that for what it's worth. But they're about the same guy, basically.
Okay.
So just something to think about. But yeah, this is why I'm so excited about this draft, JD. Before we get you out of here, brother, because we've taken so much of your time here, bro. The fact is that the Chiefs could take a wide receiver as soon as possible, or sit back for a round or two and still get themselves a badass. Because I think Brendan Rice is going to be a day 2 player.
Yeah, I do too.
In the first round.
No doubt. Yeah, no doubt.
So you know what I mean? Like you could be right. The Chiefs could end up getting, let's say they Brennan Rice in the second or third round, and they're like, okay, that's our wide receiver right now, but we got an additional 2 or 3 picks. Let's go get Luke McCaffrey in the 6th round out of Rice. Let's go get Cornelius Johnson out of Michigan in the 5th round. They have options here. There's so many names that I like in this draft, man. Yeah, you may not get a Leggett or a McClunky, like you said, or even Jalen Polk. You might not be able to get one of those guys because they might get taken before you get a chance.
Yeah.
But there's still 14, 15 dudes that you can come in here and become day one contributors. That's got to excite everybody, man.
Yeah, no doubt.
So,
I agree with you.
Go ahead.
It's going to be an exciting draft. I think these next couple of weeks going to tell a whole lot as far as where they want to go. I know myself where I would like to go with it. And if I'm going to, and I've said this, and I'm still on this train, is if you're going to go get a guy, move up to go get him, okay? Move up to go get a tackle. Move up now, Lance, because you talked me into going into Brock Bowers. Move up to go get him. Seriously, yeah. Hey.
Let's do it.
Yeah, 2 birds with 1 stone. I'm telling you, man, he can do it all like a wide receiver. That's what I mean. That's what he is, really.
Yeah.
And I think defensive tackle, you stay where where you at. You'll get guys. Guys will be there. But tackle, you move up. Brock Bowers was tight end, you move up. Wide receivers, you can mold a little bit, and just wade in the water a little bit. Okay, and then, we'll pick him up. There we go. There's another one. Throw him in the boat too, right? So that's what I like. That's what I like, man. See my boys in here. Mark C, Legacy Draft, Rice, Jenkins, Trotter Jr., Gorgia. Yeah.
Right.
That look great. It looked great.
And if they were to find a way to steal Joe Alt, that's another legacy player.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah.
One can dream. And I'll tell you, JD, this hour just flew by. You gave us so much insight, intel. Bro, I'm not kidding when I say this. I watched your guys' mock draft show, and I loved it. Tasia made some awesome points. Well-informed dude, knows his draft stuff. Mm-hmm. And bro, you brought it with yours. I love this. I don't know if you guys are doing a second half of your guys' draft or not, but if you do, I'm gonna be watching because I loved what you did with your first 4 picks, man. And I think this is everything we needed for our show, bro. You brought it to us today, and I couldn't thank you enough, man.
Well, man, I appreciate it, man. Look, the hour goes by fast, man. When friends get together, man, you always have a good time. And so, it's never worked, man. It's us chopping it up, having a good time. That's what it is. Man.
I appreciate you brought up on your guys' show about the thing we did over at Artego's. That was a blast, dude.
Oh, my
really
God.
Good time. You brought everybody together. It's hard to do that because everyone. There's a lot of, JD, not to get into specifics here, but there's a lot of ego, weird, unnecessary ego in the Chiefs content creative community. I don't get it. I mean, I know there's people out there that don't like me just because I'm an opinionated guy. That's fine. I can live with that. I can be a villain or whatever if you need me to be. But what you did that day is something I've never experienced, bro. Like you brought me in a room with people that didn't ever want anything to do with me. And I'm not making this all about me. I'm just saying that from my perspective, you brought it together. And for one night at least, we had unity in a group of people that should have always been unified to begin with. Absolutely. And you did that, dude. So credit to you, brother.
Well, appreciate you, man, for saying so. Like, I don't know the Twitter wars and who don't like who and stuff like that. I don't. Like, if it's something I don't agree with, I won't say anything, right? Or I'm like, hey, what's going on with this? My thing is, like you said, everybody in this space should be together anyway. It doesn't make any sense why people have egos over here and stuff. I get, man, how the world, everybody's trying to climb to get up here and all these different things. To me, that's silliness. I'm all about togetherness, man. I want to sit down and have a pizza, right? A macaroni and cheese pizza with my boy Rance, okay? Which was bomb, by the way. It's crazy. I would have never thought that combination. Shout out to Ortego Pizza for that right there.
Yes, sir.
But also, too, everybody kind of getting together, just kind of talking, man. And there was so much of the film I wanted to put it out because I keep getting like, God, John Paul did a good job doing all the, the effects and video and whatnot. He has a ton of film. That's the thing about it. Trying to condense it down to put it all together and edit it and whatnot. So, but we're going to do more of these, Lance. Okay. Trev, you got to come out there for it, man. You got to be there, brother. Okay. Got to be there for it. I want to do more of these things when I get out to Kansas City. I may be out there in the next couple of weeks. And I said, look, I want to meet people out here. I want to talk. I want to have a conversation like this. So we can have a show just to sit back and talk and all these. That's what we need to be doing. We need to be talking about that. There's enough out here for everybody to eat. You know, if that's what everybody is on, well, cool. You know, people hate your beer game. Lance, they jealous of it, baby, with the little wavy. You know, they look at it in the mirror, they like, shit, Lance is still killing it. Can't stand this guy. His beard. Look at it. You know, that's what it is, brother. That's what it is. So
making me blush on my own show, JD.
That's what it is, man. Brother, listen, I love you. Trav, man, I love you, man. Y'all brothers, man. Like I said, we gotta get together when we come out there. You know, everybody can have their opinions and talk about whatever, man. It's all for fun. We all talking anyway, having a good time. None of it should be taken serious. It's in it. We love entertaining, right? We want to see what your team is going to do. We always want to know. Oh, shoot, I'm putting my marbles in here. So we all support the Chiefs. How we get there is, you know, people's opinions. And to me, when you crazy, you the worst. I'm sitting there like, dude, like for real, that's what it is. It's all of that. Like you gonna get bent out of shape over these things, man. It's silly, man. I don't get it. And so, as a player, former player, I like seeing people that enjoy football because I like it. And as a coach, I love talking it, loving people up, having a good time. Sit back, man, drop a couple of brews, you know what I'm saying? Throw them back, you know, and we just have a good time. We just have a good time, man.
You're one of the best. You're one of the best guys out there to have a good time with. Every time, bro. It's awesome football conversation. And you let us know when you're in town and you want to hang out. You know we'll be there.
All right. Cool.
For you to be here with us today meant everything, brother. So that's our guy, Jason Dunn, Chief Concerns Podcast. Please go follow them, subscribe to their channel. Follow Jason on Twitter. It's JASUS 89, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And hit him up, guys. He is the most interactive former football player you will ever meet. This man will talk to everybody all the time. He always makes himself available, which is why I love and respect this man so much. He doesn't have an ego. He loves everybody equally. And that's the kind of person you want to surround yourself with. That's the kind of people you want to surround yourself with. That's what makes us who we are. We always try to strive to be like JD, man. So what would JD do, as I like to say? So.
Appreciate it, my brother. Appreciate it, my brother. All right.
Love you, man.
No, so love you too. Y'all be good. All right.
Yes, sir. That's our guy, Jason Dunn, man. We could have just started the show with that segment and just finished the show with that segment. That could have been the show. That was everything right there.
Yeah.
That was everything right there. And it's been way too long since we've had JD on, bro. I always say it every time we've had him on, and you and I talk about it sometimes too, Trevor, but you know, it's so humbling to be kids growing up watching Jason Dunn play football.
Yeah.
And now being buddies with this dude the human interaction we have with him as friends. It's the most
bizarre.
humbling thing, dude.
Yeah.
And we were such big fans of his.
Yeah.
We love Jason Dunn. Like, he was one of my favorite Chiefs players.
Yeah.
And I just remember talking about like how he looked like it. He was bigger than some of the offensive linemen, and he's out there trucking fools, catching passes in the end zone. Always had the cool. I love his hair always hung out of the back of his helmet, and I always thought JD was the coolest dude. And 20 years later, bro, being friends with this guy and hanging out with him like I did last year at Artego's, it's just the most humbling thing. So when you guys see this, it's a genuine reaction to what we have here with our guy JD. And I want that with everybody. That's my goal. Like, you know, just give you guys full disclosure here. Trevor and I, we try to latch ourselves to as many shows and content creators as we possibly can. And just to be totally honest with you, there's not a lot of them that are very receptive to that. They look at you as competition, or they look at you like you're not at the same level, you're not equals. And I can't, Trevor can't, none of us can really do anything about that. But I love it, man, when we can have the opposite experience, when we can have people like Chief Concerns and all chiefed up. Everybody in Starcade, who's already our family anyway, to do this with us, man. That's why we have these people on our show, because it makes our show better. I don't want you guys to always just hear me talk. I want you guys to hear opinions of other people, even if I disagree with some of the stuff. Like, it's the beautiful thing about talking sports. Like JD said, it's like that talking football is the point. You don't have to agree on everything.
Yeah.
just talking about it. And I just wish more people understood that. I'm off my soapbox now. You guys have been waiting long enough, but that was a great show. That was an incredible segment. And like our guy, Chief Marcus Dash said on the Chief Concerns comment, we can all eat together. That's exactly it. And I wish more people understood that. But let's continue eating, if you will, because we need to get to speaking. Trevor, what are the people saying in the chat, bro?
All right, so we got to a few of the questions earlier in the chat before we brought on JD, but I did highlight a lot of all the ones I've highlighted and wanted to touch on are from our guy John Harrison.
Nice.
So he was kind of having some opinions based on the talks about the draft and these certain players. I'm just going to go ahead and I'll go with the first one that he brought up. Bowers, tight end, would be great at number 32. He'll never fall that far.
Right.
If there's a run at OTs and the best are gone by 32, would it be better to get a McConkey at 32 and then either get Yale offensive tackle or Patrick Paul offensive tackle Houston in the second round? Both are big, long arm athletes. Just a thought.
No, those are two guys that are on my board.
Yeah.
And again, please do not take me as Mel Kiper. I'm not. I am very new to all this stuff, but I've very much been enjoying it. I'm trying to get as well informed of this as I possibly can. So just take this with a grain of salt. The guy though that I am big on is because I trust a lot of other people. All Chiefed Up,
yeah.
RGR. These are guys that have been speaking up highly on Kingsley 𝚂𝙾𝙾 out of BYU, number 78. He's played right tackle, left tackle, some guard as well. He's got long arms. He's about 6'6", 320 pounds, 315, 20 pounds. He's the guy. If the Chiefs were to trade out of 32,
yeah,
he would be the guy I would want to see them take and tackle wherever they sit after 32. If they stay at 32, yes, Ladd McConkey would be a great value pick. I agree. Bowers would not. There's no chance in hell Bowers falls to 32.
We have to trade up for him.
Ladd McConkey would be one hell of a guy because he's a great route runner. I just have to stick to my guns here, guys, and tell you that I don't think if I was Brett Veach, I'm taking a wide receiver with my first pick.
You don't have to reach.
Just because it's such a deep class.
Yeah.
And I know John knows this. John, I'm not telling anybody that doesn't already know. This is a 20-plus wide receiver class. There are 20-plus guys in this draft class that are legitimate, good receivers. Not all of them are going to be – there's going to be plenty of busts. There's going to be plenty of guys that just don't live up. But they're going to be – I think there's going to be 5 to 7, 8 guys in this draft class. They're going to be absolute studs.
Yeah.
And then you're going to have your good players. And if we know anything about Patrick Mahomes, he doesn't even need to have a great wide receiver for them to win.
He's proven that back-to-back years.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So my thing
Even though it'd be great to have that.
I would rather have a bundle of wide receiver twos
yes.
than one wide receiver one and a bunch of trash below him.
Yes.
I'd much rather have Hollywood Brown, Rashee Rice, Javon Baker, or one of those guys, OBJ, and then McCole Hardman and Nico Remigio. That's like the perfect room for me.
Yeah.
You know, because you have a bunch of wide receiver twos
we
with
don't
potential.
we don't need that number one alpha.
Brennan Rice.
Guy.
Brennan Rice or Javon Baker. You draft one of those guys in the third round. All of a sudden, you have a guy with the potential of being a wide receiver one with 3 wide receiver twos already in the room.
Yeah.
Like and Rashee Rice could become a wide receiver one for all we know.
Absolutely.
I mean, who's to say? Hollywood Brown finally has an elite quarterback. What's to say he doesn't become one? He's only 26 years old.
Yeah.
Like that's my thing, man, is that Hollywood Brown's been a wide receiver too with bad quarterbacks. Imagine what he could become. So the potential's all there. I still think though they got to go with tackle no matter what they do with their first pick, whether trade up, trade back, stay there. I think they got to go tackle. Shout out to our lady Julia Gooley. She's back in the chat. We missed you, Julia. I haven't seen you in a while. She said you two and ACU all chiefed up are my personal favorites. Thank you so much for saying that, Julia. We really do appreciate you saying that. Definitely check out Chief Concerns as well because they have a great show as well if you have time as well, Julia. But we're glad to have you back in the chat for sure.
Absolutely. And then he follows that up with, for info, Braden Fisk is 24 years old. We're just talking about JD's pick on Braden Fisk. He's 24 years old already. He was at Washington, he was at Michigan for 5 years. Western Michigan for 5 years. Red shirt till he went to Florida State last year.
Yep.
So yeah, he's already an aged kind of guy. Is ready to go right now. I think I love that pick from JD, man. I really do.
24 doesn't scare me off.
No.
24 doesn't scare me off because if you got to think, the most realistic scenario of what you're going to get out of Braden Fisk, even if he was 22, is probably 6 years.
Well, and especially for three-peat reasons.
Yes.
A guy that's going to come in would absolutely be a day one,
Yes.
would absolutely dominate the line with Chris Jones, another guy that could, like JD said, demand another double team and help Chris Jones with that pressure. So.
Yeah, Braden Fisk is a guy that I would love because of his, like you said, day one presence. I think he would bring to the table, being already a grown man with a grown man's body. Yeah. And like I said, most of these draft picks, at best, you're getting 3 to 5 years out of. So if you get 3 to 5 years out of Braden Fisk and he's 29, 30 years old, that's just what's going to happen, man.
Yeah.
So I'm good with that.
And then he follows that up with Ben. Is it Sonnet? Sinnott?
Sonat.
Okay. I've always had
Ben Sonat.
Or Sino. I don't know if the T's are silent. Would be a Swiss Army knife in this offense. It'd give Andy Reid a toy to play with. So
Yes.
I couldn't have.
Like I said, there's
some great tight ends in this draft.
If JD's scenario plays out where they were somehow able to get Brock Bowers, obviously you're getting yourself a god in a helmet. Yeah. But I think Ben Sinnott, Cade Stover, Eric All, guys like that are a lot more realistic scenario guys for the Chiefs. And I think those are guys that the Chiefs can go and get. I really do believe that. I do believe that those guys will be there in the 3rd, 4th rounds. I don't know where, and I wish I could ask Brett Veach this question myself. Where is your mindset on tight end? Because he treats the tight end position a lot like he's treated the interior defensive line position. Because he has 2 all-time greats at that position with Travis Kelce and Chris Jones. It's almost like Brett has not felt the need to build around them, but I think it's time.
Yeah.
Because Chris Jones will be 30 this year. Travis Kelce will be 35 this year. Both still best at what they do. But I think this is like that draft where it's like, okay, everybody's assuming that all these wide receivers are going to be coming through the door. What if they go meat and potatoes? What if they go and get a tight end that's a badass that helps with 12, 13 personnel, which we know Andy Reid loves. Mm-hmm. And if Wanya Morris is your starting left tackle this year, well, I kind of hope not. But if he is, you have that guy to help with the protection on that outside as well. You can go and utilize that guy, and then you can go and get a defensive lineman like a Chris Jenkins or a Braden Fisk, who are just badasses who can walk in and become that guy that takes off that pressure that Chris Jones has been handling for the last 5+ years.
Yeah.
It just makes too much sense.
Yeah, and he follows that up with Laomoa played guard in 2021, only played right tackle. He only played 4 snaps. He's not a left tackle and has shorter arms.
Who is it?
Laomoa.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Yeah.
He's on the guy from Utah.
The shorter arms. So yeah, we're swiping left on the short arms. Sorry guys, that's kind of how we do things. Donovan Smith is sort of the Chiefs' fallback plan if they can't get a left tackle in the draft. They also might sign him to groom a young guy unless they get a day one starter.
Well, and I think he's talking about Laumua is a guy that JD talked about. Yeah, he played guard. If he came to Kansas City, he'd play guard.
Big boy,
he would not be a tackle. Yeah, Andy Reid, I'm telling you guys, go look at his track record. Almost every single tackle he's had on his team has arms that are over 33.5 inches. Yeah. Almost every single one of them. He doesn't like short arm tackles.
Mm. Yeah, but
that's why he loved Orlando Brown Jr. because he had, I think, 35-inch arms. Like, he has long, lanky arms.
Oh yeah. He was an orangutan out there, and that guy was.
He had long, lanky arms.
Yeah. Jeremiah Trotter Jr. is a Nick Bolton hitter. But has better coverage skills than Tranquil. Trotter is a player. I've been high on him for a while. I'd even draft him at 64.
Yes, I mean, okay. Look, I know, and I'm not going to spoil my draft, but guys, the reason I never ask questions just to ask questions. I asked Trevor and JD, and I'll ask you guys as well. You guys can answer this about which side of the ball are they going to draft more? Because I know the easy answer right now is offense, but I have an inkling there might be more defensive players drafted in this class because of the fact there are guys on this defense that the Chiefs are going to have to start replacing or building around. So it would not be crazy to me at all if one of their first 3 picks is linebacker, defensive line, offensive line. Like, some of these interior presences are going to have to be answered soon because we don't know the future of Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, Joe Tooney of the next year.
Yeah.
On the defensive side, you don't know if they're going to pay Nick Bolton. Everyone just assumes that. But you saw, guys, if we're going to be real for a second, I love Nick Bolton. But, guys, you saw him miss, 6, 7 games last year, and the defense didn't miss a beat. They were still elite as hell without
because the guy got extended for a reason. Tranquil. Yeah.
Exactly. If you add a Jeremiah Trotter to this mix,
oh yeah, man.
All of a sudden, man, and everybody keeps asking about how they were going to replace Willie Gay. Man, Cam Jones came on last year.
Sure did.
I think Cam Jones is going to be that guy. And I heard Daniel Harm say that from RGR. He goes, I think Cam Jones has higher upside than Willie Gay does.
Damn.
It's there. He's a tackling machine. Yeah. So let's say Cam Jones, Leo Chenal are taking care of the outside stuff. Then all of a sudden you have Drew Tranquill, wandering, Nick Bolton playing that solidified, green dot. You get Jeremiah Trotter in this defense with the IQ that he has, being a legacy player like himself, he can become that green dot in 2025.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, guys, I know we get attached to these players, but as our guy Mike Williams from All Chiefed Up once said, you don't try not to get attached to the wrong players.
Yeah.
Because this will, as long as this dynasty goes, you're going to have to get used to the Chiefs moving off of players that are going to start making big money. Like, guys, they were not going to pay Mike Dana big dollars. It ended up coming out, it looked like $13 million guaranteed. It was under that now. It's like 12.7 or whatever it is with incentives on the 3-year deal. Yep. That's a very low market deal for a guy like Mike Dana. So they were willing to move off of him because they thought he was going to make tons of money. They're going to be willing to move off a lot of guys. If Creed Humphrey's market stays where it's at, supposedly, don't be shocked if they move off Creed Humphrey.
Yeah.
And I've been the guy that's
snaps up if he wants to.
Well, and I've been the guy that's been sitting here saying that, there's no question Creed Humphrey's getting signed.
Yeah.
But they're not paying him $17 million a year.
No.
They will go and get another center. Like I said, they can go draft a Dominic Pooney or Colton Beebe, and they can go get that guy to play center. They could. And I think Trey Smith would be the guy that they would pay because Trey Smith could replace Joe Thuney or play on that right side still, and then they draft Thuney's replacement, and you're paying Trey Smith $11-12 million a year. That's very affordable for a guard, especially at his magnitude.
Of course. Last and final one from our guy, John Harrison. Here's a question for all of you. If the Chiefs drafted Darius Robinson at number 32, would you hate it? I wouldn't. He is a Spags prototype player, 6'5", 296 pounds, played defensive tackle for 2 years, and then moved out to edge. He can move around positions. They could then get a offensive tackle in second round if they can't get a day one guy in the first.
Yeah, I like Darius Robinson too. I will be honest, he wasn't a guy that I paid too much attention to because I wasn't looking at edge very much for the Chiefs. I think that's like more of a luxury pick.
And it depends on what Felix looks like this year, too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, because I know the Chiefs are going to give him every opportunity in the world. Charles Omenihu's going to be back.
First-round pick.
Mike Dana's a DN. They like to play on the inside sometimes, but he plays a lot of DN. Karlaftis, obviously. Bringing back Mike Dana told me that I don't think they're going to be drafting an edge unless some badass just falls. If Darius Robinson is there in day 2, day 3, yeah, I can see them. Oh, shit, he fell and we can't pass him up.
Yeah.
Best guy on our board. That's the scenario I see that happening. Otherwise, I don't think edge is going to be something they take in the first 4 or 5
And we even started seeing them using Chenal on the edge, too, a little bit last year.
Yeah, and that's because in Wisconsin he
was effective.
Yes.
Yeah, that guy's much faster than he looks.
And again, I mean, dude, Darius Robinson is built like Za'Darius Smith.
Yeah.
6'5", 285 pounds, almost 11-inch hands. That's humongous, dude, man. He's got a score. He will eventually be a plus starter. So if he falls, I wouldn't be mad at all if the Chiefs took him.
Yeah. Well, that is it, man, as far as
Chad is concerned. Yeah, man.
Julia.
Julia Gooley, glad to have you back. She said tax season is always my busiest. I'm always listening and hit that like button. You're the best, Julia.
FAU had a tackle for loss in the Super Bowl. Fact.
That's a fact. See, there you go. And Julia, we always appreciate your contributions. Keep hanging out with us as much as you possibly can. Keep dropping that knowledge. We appreciate all of you guys, man. Everybody that joins the chat, it makes it so much more fun for us to be more interactive with you. Give us all your opinions, man. We love hearing from all you guys, man. We appreciate every single one of you guys. And tagging along when JD was dropping the knowledge as well, guys. So with that, Trevor, we have one more order of business to get to. What is it called? Hold this L. Each and every episode, we finish off every single episode with a series of L's in the world of sports. Whether those L's are friendly L's or not so friendly L's in the world of sports, we promise you, who's ever holding those L's deserve those L's in the world of sports. Trevor Twidwell, who's holding L for you this week?
There's always a way to find some. There's always a way to get some NBA on this show, at least towards the end of the show. Things are starting to heat up and the playoffs about to get started here pretty soon. But there was a special moment for a legendary player in Allen Iverson in Philly a couple days ago. They did a whole statue reveal. I don't know. I'm sure most of you saw it. If you didn't, I'm gonna go ahead and put the picture up here real quick and tell me what y'all think. I was confused a little bit at first. I thought it was a little Bow Wow statue of Like Mike. I thought we were talking about Like Mike here. I thought they were honoring the cinema magic film and Like Mike and featuring Bow Wow with the likes of Jason Kidd and a bunch of other star players that have made their appearances. But no, this is the statue that they gave the legendary one of one Allen Iverson, the one that crossed all y'all's GOAT and Michael Jordan and put a bucket on him. I don't know about you. This just I know we've heard the rumblings about and people talking about this is kind of how they do it in Philly. They kind of their statues are surrounding. They have a little section where like all the statues are a little smaller. They're not going to give them like the Michael Jordan treatment, obviously the Shaq treatment, the Kobe treatment, all these other statues that Dirk and all these other guys. If anybody has been, he's one of the most impactful players in the history of the game. You can't talk about the story of the NBA without Allen Iverson. You got even LeBron James talking about when he was coming up, he wanted to be Allen Iverson. He wanted to be AI. That's who he wanted to be, right? He was trying to mold his charisma and his sauce and not necessarily his game. He's a little more, obviously LeBron's game is different than Allen Iverson, but like that was how inspirational he was to a lot of these young guys of our generation, guys of generations even before us that were around Allen Iverson's generation. He was inspiring guys of his own era too. I just felt like this was just a very like a statue you hand out, like a miniature statue you hand out during games or something like that, and it just didn't. It didn't do the justice. Award. Yeah, it didn't do the. I know they got Dr. J. They have a whole lot of legends there in Philly, man. I get it, but I think as far as namesake goes, I think AI is the biggest legend out of Philadelphia. I think he is what he is. He represents and what he did to the game and how he produced the agency for players to really be themselves and lean into who they are outside of wearing a suit to every game. And everyone has their preference. They like guys dressing up in suits, but you see, what he did for the game and how he really personified that individualism of what the NBA really represents now and has honestly completely leaned into now. He was chastised for it. He was ridiculed for it in his time, but now we glorify that to what the NBA is about, with Adam Silver really leaning into these guys, us always filming what these guys are wearing into the games, coming into the tunnels. That's Allen Iverson. You can thank Allen Iverson for all those things, for these guys really leaning into the James Hardens and the Russell Westbrooks and LeBron James and Steph Currys and whatever they're wearing heading into the game. What outfit are they wearing and what designer are they wearing? That was AI, man. AI really blazed that trail, and I just felt like this statue was really just didn't live up to the size of what his personality was. I felt like he deserves a massive statue in the front of that stadium for what he did for that brand and what he did for that franchise. So for that, Philadelphia PR, Philadelphia front office, Philadelphia ownership, whoever had taken part in making the decisions of having this 4-foot statue of Lil Bow Wow representing what AI is supposed to be. It just didn't live up to the magnitude of what his impact was for the game, let alone Philadelphia. So for that, all of y'all, do me a solid favor and hold this L.
So, I had some decisions to make this morning when it came to how I was going to finish this show off. Anybody that follows me on social media knows that I almost always take the high road. I don't give a lot of things attention that I don't think needs my attention. There's a varied opinion out there of me on social media, and I don't really care because I'm here to give you guys my opinion, whether you like it or not. I'm always going to be honest with you, and I've kept that consistent since day one, and that's how it's going to always be. I'm not afraid to tell you the truth. I'm not afraid to tell you guys where I stand on things because I'm not going to be somebody that lies to you. You don't deserve that, and I don't want to be somebody that's a liar. And I'm willing to take the punishment or the brunt of whatever unpopular take I have. If it's a bad take, I'll live with it, whatever. But what I find weird is when I'm defending somebody, I somehow can get the same treatment from that person. So I've, over the years on social media, have gotten a lot, for whatever reason, I've gotten a lot of response and attention from Chiefs players. Not just Chiefs players, players of all different sports, teams, whatever. for some reason. And I don't usually @ players. I don't usually tag them in the tweet. I don't try to flood their comments. I don't try to do any of that stuff. I usually just give my opinion and state their name if I have to include their name for you to know who I'm talking about. Well, this week, like I said today, I had a decision to make. And I think I made the right decision. I'm going to address it. Didn't want to put it in the show, but it's going to end the show now. This week, I put out a tweet, and Trevor, you want to throw that tweet out there, the first one? I put this out there. I said, I can't get myself to believe that the Chiefs will cut Charles Omenihu. Yeah, they could save $7 million if they cut him, and he won't be back for at least the first month or so of the season. But he's a January, February player, and I think he's more valuable in that context than $7 million.
Such a nice supportive tweet by you.
And then I went grocery shopping. When I got home, about an hour later, I noticed that even though my mentions are usually flooded, and I don't usually check them all the time because they're just normally flooded, I noticed that I kept seeing Omenihu's Twitter handle in my mentions. And then I found the reason why. Trevor, check the next slide. This is Charles Omenihu briefly and adequately addressing me, and inaccurately, I might add, addressing me, by saying, "You must be bored, Lance the Spoken." And at first, I was like, maybe he's a guy that doesn't like compliments. Maybe he's somebody that doesn't like people talking about him at all, whether it's something this positive or somebody that's shitting on him. I don't know. Or maybe he just didn't read what I said. And based upon everything I was seeing everybody else saying in response to what he said, that is what led me to believe that. Charles Omenihu just simply saw the word cut in my tweet with his name attached to it, which, by the way, didn't tag him, didn't add him, nothing, which meant he either looked his name up or was seeing all these people tweeting at him about my tweet and responded in that manner. Now, you guys know that I'm popular for all the wrong reasons on Twitter, so naturally he probably thought I said something negative without even reading it, which is fine. The thing I don't get down with, Trevor, besides the illiteracy and the lack of reading skills that people seem to have, is the fact that people then try to come up with this idea that I came up with this take. That I was the only one that's been talking about the potential of the Chiefs cutting Charles Omenihu. Because again, to the point, they could save an adequate amount of money. $7 million is nothing to scoff at. That's a lot of money they could save. Especially when he's only on 1 year left on his deal. And he won't be playing for probably half the season, more realistically. I gave him some benefit by saying the first month.
Yeah.
He's more likely going to miss 7-8 games. But people were literally trying to make the case that I just came up with this and pulled this out of my ass to look for attention. Trevor, you could go ahead and play the radio clip from Sports Radio WHB 810 from Soren Petro's show, their afternoon show with Kansas City Stars Sam McDowell, an hour before my initial tweet. Please play that.
But are we missing the point? Is the point just Charles Omenihu is going to be a injury settlement in camp because he's not going to be back till too far into the season for them to mess around with, and with only 1 year left on his deal? Bye-bye. I mean, to me, I'd be interested.
No, because they wouldn't occupy a roster spot.
They wouldn't occupy a roster spot, but it'd be a post-June 1 walk-away.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm looking at his contract now. I mean, you can save a decent amount, actually.
That's what I'm saying.
Over 5, but...
It's almost as if, Trevor, I heard that on radio, which I did, and then responded to it like I always do when I hear takes from people that have platforms, because I am somebody that does consume content. People that I disagree with vehemently, I will still listen to their shows because I draw inspiration from that, And sometimes I want to hear what other people are saying because I don't like just hearing myself talk. I like to hear what other people are saying in my own city about the team that I focus on more than anything outside of my own family. So yes, I heard that after hearing for the last 8 weeks, other people, even my own confidants, my own other content creators talk about this very same thing.
Yep.
About, well, I mean, maybe they could cut him. Maybe they should cut him. Will they cut him? These have been talking points on all of the big... I'm not going to name them because I'm not trying to call out anybody else. But this is what I find so funny, is that we take what somebody's saying when it's an actual defense of the player and try to make it into something negative. I don't care if you drag me on Twitter. I don't care about any of that stuff. But at least read the fucking tweet before you respond. And that goes for you, 𝚂𝙿𝙸𝚂𝙾𝙳𝙴, who I am wishing nothing but the best. I hope for a speedy recovery. I hope you kick ass this season and help this team win a three-peat. But don't you dare come at me like this again, brother, until you actually start reading shit. So 𝚂𝙿𝙸𝙀𝙀 and all the ragtags that decided to suck his butt and all this stuff and all this bullshit that happened on Twitter, maybe go and, read a book, go to a library, or I don't know, go back to 3rd grade. Do me a solid while you're on your way there and your mom packs your Capri Suns and hold this L.
Hooked on Phonics is still a program too. I think they still help.
I wasn't going to be petty today, Trevor, but you know what? I'm Richard Petty today. This has been a fun freaking show. JD killed it. Yeah. I so much appreciate everything he does for us, man.
I just sit back and listen to him, man. It's like the preacher man just goes.
I'm telling you, man. Yeah. Like I almost forget to be a host. I'm just like, dude, I'm just listening. Yeah. This dude's just dropping knowledge. He tells it, and I feel bad because I kind of set up the story bad when I said like he had a run-in with the cops. To give you guys the nutshell version, he had some old thing on his tags or something like that, and he had to go back to the precinct with the cops because he had a flat tire and he was fixing it. They were totally cool with him. Nothing bad happened, but it was a funny story, and how he tells the story is really funny too, because like a reporter from Kansas City called him while he was at the precinct, like, how did you guys find this out? So he was just talking about how like word spreads and stuff. I totally beefed it on like representing that story because I made it sound like he was getting in trouble with the cops. JD's as class as it gets, guys. Trust me, he was not in trouble with the cops. He had to pay a little fine for some crap that was on his record from before. The point is, JD killed it today. We appreciate him so much for all the knowledge he dropped off, and I appreciate all of you for being a part of this show. Another long-ass show, but you know what? It's fun every single time we do these things, and we're going to continue to do these things. The draft is almost here. I will go ahead and tell you guys right now, because the cat will be out of the bag before you know it. Our next guest will be Daniel Harms from RGR Sports. I hope you guys are ready. This man is one of the busiest dudes when it comes to the draft, when it comes to Chiefs content. He is one of the most knowledgeable dudes out there. Really respect his work. I really respect his knowledge. And we've been trying to get him on the show now for about a year. We finally got him nabbed, guys. I finally cornered him because he gave us Saturday to all chiefed up. I'm like, hey, bro, you can't tell me you ain't got Saturdays now. You just gave it to the Williams brothers. You're giving it to the Twidwell brothers this time around. So he gave us this next week. We're so stoked for that, guys. We're so stoked for what's going to happen these next coming weeks before the draft. I hope you guys are ready for it. I know I'm ready for it. Trevor's ready for it. And here we go, man. I hope you guys enjoyed this show. And I hope you guys are going to continue to enjoy what we do here. Like I say at the top of every show, it's at the bottom of every single show. Go to youtube.com. Go to the Spoken Podcast. Hit like, subscribe, notify, share, all those things. Please, that would be huge. Yep. But also get in the chat, man. Get in the chat and let us know what you guys want to talk about throughout the week, too. Doesn't have to be on the live stream. It can be while we're, waking up in the morning and I get a comment from you guys. We would love that. We'd love hearing from all of you guys. So for that, for Trevor Twidwell, for the great Clay Windler that puts all together, for Jason Dunn and the Chief Concerned Podcast, and Starcade Media as a whole, I'm Lance Twidwell. Episode 263 of the Spoken Podcast is done, finished, and finito. And until we're back here in 1 week's time with Daniel Harms from RGR Sports for episode 264, we out of this bitch.
Later.